All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Comic Banter. I'm glad everyone is able to join us each week. And so this week we are coming in with a returning guest, Drew Edward Johnson. A lot of you might remember him from our episode 2. And we're touching base with everyone. And let me see this. Sorry, I'm still running things really, on the fly here. And then, of course, we have his Garage Art Studios mate, Tony Fleecs, joining us for the first time. Tony's been worked on a variety of different projects. He's worked with IDW on the Star Wars Adventures line. He's worked on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles adventures as well. My Little Pony. He's currently working with the My Little Pony and Transformers crossover comic. He's worked with Action Lab on Miraculous, and of course, some of his own projects, such as In My Lifetime and Time Shopper. And I believe it was just announced that you're returning. You're going to Stray Dogs as well.
Yeah, it's a book. I'm doing an image next year with an artist named Trish Forstner, and it starts coming out in February.
Okay, great. So yeah, so as we jump into everything, I'm always kind of curious what everyone's history with Marvel trading cards is. If they collected them as a kid, if they just kind of see them later on now and like see them floating around at cons. Did you ever collect as a kid, or do you have a history with them?
Yeah, I definitely did. I'm 41 years old, so when these were coming out, I was, like 12 years old. So like the perfect right in the pocket age for them. And they sold them, I think, at the convenience store that was in between my school and my house. So I could steal quarters from my folks and get a packs there. I know I could get baseball cards that way. But when I switched over to Marvel cards, that was sort of like the last time I cared about sports ever, was like when Marvel cards came out. I was like, well, I don't have to pay attention to this shit anymore because now I can just pay attention to the comics that I'm interested in the first place. And then I would get them at comic stores. I owned definitely all of this set. And I owned all of Marvel Universe 2. And I had some scattered Series 1. And then, of course, I had the entire Jim Lee set of X-Men cards.
Your collecting always makes me feel like an underachiever. Your levels of collecting are so high.
I've been this way the whole time. I'm one of 5 children, so I have like a emptiness inside me that has to be filled. But I lack in attention. I fill up with superhero nonsense.
And so you mentioned that you collected the X-Men card set. I'm curious if viewers can name the card set specifically that Tony chose for his frame. Please let us know if you can spot it and tell us where it's from. It's definitely one that I was like, nice, very unique pull. We talk about every time that Jim Lee set is definitely a lot of people's favorites, and it's understandable. And so it was definitely interesting to see like, oh, that's the one. We can do that. We can get that working.
I feel like that's going to be the episodes that are going to be the hot ones to get in on your show when you start doing that Jim Lee shit. It'll just be like, like, hey, can I come on? And be like, we kind of got some people lined up already. We'll see.
I keep saying that's got to be the Patreon exclusive. Like what we'll do is we'll fund it so that we can get Jim on the show and be like, okay, we'll pay to this charity if you come and talk about this card set.
Yeah.
That's our plan.
All right, you guys talk for 1 second. I'm going to go check. I got this brand new dog 2 days ago, and he's really yelling right now. So introduce Drew, and I'll be right back.
All right. And for those who weren't able to check out Drew on our first episode, he's worked on a variety of projects as well. I believe we're talking about the Godzilla run that he's been working on. There's the Shield that he did with, I was about to say IDW, but I don't think is the who.
No, he's short-lived Dark Circle imprint. It was like their
right.
It was not quite horror, more like dark crime kind of stuff.
Yeah. We've got a few people in chat. Kareem's already saying, welcome, Tony. Congrats. And hey, Drew from Kareem as well.
Nice.
And there's also, of course, your own project, the Midnight Society.
Yep.
As well as a litany of other things. You've worked on Supergirl, Wonder Woman. Like it all cascades when I'm trying to think of it. It doesn't come.
It's 30 years worth of stuff. It's it's hard to pick the highlights. There's a lot of stuff to go through.
Yeah. Was that Tony?
Godzilla recently.
Yeah. We were talking about that while you were away with the dog.
Oh hell, I'm sorry.
Is everything
One thing-
all right? Getting robbed or anything?
No, but he's just a pain in the ass.
Oh, okay.
One that I want to try and catch up to, like of the sets that I've looked at, because I want a variety of. Oh, it looks like Alex Chung is in chats and he says the card design on screens are the trading cards sweet spot for me. If you can name what card set his is from, you'll win a prize. Someone won Skittles one round, so you might win something else this. But one card set that I've talked about as well is the Star Wars Galaxy series, because they do have a variety of artists on different cards. And at the time, I think it was primarily pre with the EU, like pre-Disney. So there's a lot of stuff there to mine story-wise and to bring up, like, oh, this artist is one you might not have known really seen. And then also, this is Jaina Solo. Who's Jaina Solo? Well, here's who. And you can get into that.
I remember the Star Wars Galaxy magazine that I think, did Topps put it out, or I don't know who put it out, but it was basically a magazine about the Star Wars Galaxy cards. And I bought it because I had the J. Scott Campbell Star Wars cover, and it was just like, wait, J. Scott Campbell drew Star Wars, the guy from Gen 13? It was very exciting for me. That was like the first time I ever saw him do it.
I did a spot piece for an article on obscure bounty hunters for, I want to say it was like Star Wars Insider or one of those type of mags. I don't remember.
That's so cool.
Yeah, dude. It was like Dengar and God, I can't remember these guys' names.
Orlom, of course. Zuckuss.
Zuckuss. That was it. And I think there was.
Was Bosk in there?
No, all the cool ones were not.
No Bosk?
No
Man.
Bosk.
He's not obscure enough, I guess.
It was super obscure. Yeah, it was. That was my first venture into like outside of the comics thing, really into hobby stuff. Yeah, and then I did some Top Cow trading cards when I was at Top Cow for a little bit.
All right. See, you can come on with an informed opinion. Okay, so how long did you get to work on each car? So we've got things in the future. Hopefully, we can find some good good shows in the future once we get through this set and move on. So let's just get into it. Let's see. We are jumping right into that away. All right, and to start out this card set today, we are starting off with the villains because we just wrapped up all of the team-up cards, finishing up last time with Juggernaut and Black Tom. They're the last of the team-ups, which is just their way of kind of like moving us right into the villain section.
They look so
and it's just like it's an evil buddy comedy. It's just like, yeah, we're Juggernaut and Black Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be fun. It's fun stuff. And then right off the bat, we're getting right into Abomination, who this one was one of my first introductions to the character. And so like his melty face and just that, like seeing that design was so like, I'm like, it reminded me of the Swamp Thing and the Toxic Crusader and just like these mutated like abominations. And that was kind of like my first introduction. Later on, I'd come to find out like, oh, okay, he's a Hulk villain. He, during the Peter David run, I don't know, was it Peter David? I'm trying to think. There's an era that Mike Deodato did the art, and I loved it, and it looked so good. And that was like my first comic book introduction to Abomination. So
I think that was still Peter David.
Yeah, it was when he was like he was on the road and he's trying to talk to Mr. Blue and Mr. Green, and they had that storyline.
Bruce Jones, right?
Might have been.
Who is that?
Sounds familiar. So yeah, then
right, because I think it was after the David stuff.
Yeah,
I was on for the guy that created Pitt and Gary Frank.
That's Mike Deodato. Or no, wait. Now I'm wondering now I'm just double checking my mental history.
Tony, who was the guy that created Pitt? I haven't.
Dale Keown.
Dale Keown. That's who. Yeah. Dale Keown. That is some classic Hulk art too. Dale Keown's got some good stuff.
This Abomination looks different than Abomination normally looks, right? Like he's not usually that melty.
Yeah, he's not usually that melty. Usually a little more reptilian, like in the head and stuff. I mean, definitely this version was different than what we got eventually in the Marvel MCU in the Incredible Hulk movie, and then also different in the current Avengers game from Ubisoft.
Oh, cool. How is that? Is it good?
I've watched it being played. I played the beta. It didn't quite like hit me, but it was the beta. But I started watching a Let's Play from a friend of mine, and the story looks really good. Like it seems to be like it's very timely because they're talking about like the people trying to monitor the Inhumans because they're very like it was definitely developed during the time period where Marvel didn't have the X-Men, so they're like, okay, let's just keep pushing on Inhumans. So it's like, let's do that. And it's funny because people are commenting like, this just feels like the X-Men story again, which is it's true, but like we just haven't gone that far with the Inhumans about the, we need to monitor them, put them in concentration camps, and that was that story from the Agents of Shield era on the TV show, and they're pushing that forward with the comics now. But now that they have X-Men back, they're trying to like, I'm not sure where Inhumans are going to land.
That makes sense. It sounds kind of like what they did with the TV Marvel TV line. It was everything in humans all the time, and then until it wasn't. Although I have no complaints because the guy that played Black Bolt went on to Star Trek, and is playing Captain Pike now, and he's awesome. So I think he did better for himself.
Yeah, I couldn't bring myself. I don't watch a whole lot of superheroes on TV.
Yeah, you hate.
I guess I more don't care about them than hate them. I feel like the movies are so good that, like, once something's in live action, if it doesn't look like a movie, I can't take it seriously. It has to be really good. So I could tell Inhumans from jump. I was like, I'm not going to get into this. I'm about to order that Inhumans Joe Madureira stuff though, because I picked up scant issues of it because I think he only did scant issues of it. But,
like the first 4, maybe even the first 3.
Yeah,
I could turn around and find it somewhere, but that's just going to talk about it after the show. So Critter Paladin mentions it's from the era of where Ms. Marvel Kamala Khan is created. That's very true, and in that same area with the Joe Mad stuff. And then Cherry Blossom Killer mentions that the game is a bit tedious. It is a bit grindy because there is an online portion where you're just kind of stuck in there and just grinding away at it. Looks like we have Ray Anthony Height in the chat, and he does mention it is the first 3, he believes.
Oh, wow.
Thank you, Ray. How do I see the chat all the time? I can just only see it when it pops up. Who do I push?
So I bring it up I push it. I bring it up as you can also possibly see it on your screen on the right side of the panel, but I believe it's just from my side. I can bring up chats as I see fit.
I see.
When I deem them worthy, I can bring up Kareem asking why the jacket and the open button down. It's like, well, he was cold down in the sewers, so
it looks like a lab coat. He was busy doing medical experiments in the sewers, apparently.
Yeah,
Or like when Raphael goes in disguise.
There you go.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be like a trench coat, but it really looks more like he just stole it from a lab.
Well, he's trying to be incognito. To his point, he's gonna see. He's like, a Jose Canseco bet.
Tell me to pay money for this. I almost recognize him with that disguise on, though. It's, when you first put the card up, I was just like, why do we care about this trench coat guy?
Yeah, this random passerby.
Now, was it just me, or does the Ultimate Spider-Man Green Goblin look like this guy?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. So you cut out a little bit. Yeah, no, it's definitely there, and it's funny too because it's like this figure is a Build-A-Figure, as is always the case if you're doing the comic banter drinking game. This is where I bring up Marvel Legends, but the Build-A-Figure for Abomination looks very much like the Build-A-Figure for that Green Goblin. You put them side by side, you're like, okay, they're right up the same alley. But the new Abomination has a lot more articulation. It looks really good, except for the head. It's a little bit wonky.
You think they use some of the same pieces? They're just fooling you.
No, it's because they added more articulation to it, and there's a lot more. It's a unique sculpt. I'm sure we'll see it again in like a repaint, but yeah. Oh, and Critter Paladin Marcus mentions Gabi had horns. That's true. He did have horns. These are more like kind of fins on the Abomination design.
Like he's trying to pop a horn, but he's just not quite. He's not all the way there yet.
Yeah.
It's really funny. It makes me wonder why it does look like they reused a Dr. Connors. It makes me wonder why the movies and every other, like the video games and stuff, never do the Abomination the way he's supposed to look. Like, there's something difficult about that. He's just a big green guy with like fins on his head on the sides, and you can gross him up a little bit, but he doesn't like the Hulk movie, the Incredible Hulk movie with God, what's his name, Edward Norton. what was he, like a big ape thing? I'm still not
He had like
clear
a
on-
skeleton face. He sort of looked like a muscular system.
Yeah,
And he had like spines on his back as well.
Yeah.
yeah.
He kind of
Alex
looked,
mentions like Killer Croc had the same trench coat in Nightfall. I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, what did
the
Alex Chung say?
combination of the movie kind of looked like Attack on Titan. A little
Okay,
bit.
yeah, definitely the kind of just weird stretched. Yeah, agreed.
I think he did, Alex. I think Killer Croc was sporting that look in Nightfall.
I think you should have Alex on the show. I mean, if you're looking for,
Really?
it might be a percentage of your viewership that gets eaten up by taking him from one side to the other, but he's always got the answers.
I was actually talking to him earlier today about having him on, and also Alex Chung, the artist. So I'd have the writer and the artist on the podcast at the same time.
There's an Alex Chung artist.
Yeah, he's. I guess he did some work on a Civil War book, and also He's actually done a bunch of the Marvel, the trading cards, the sketch cards. He works with Topps and Upper Deck a lot.
Oh, I did those back in the day.
I was going to ask. I saw a penance that I thought was yours.
Yeah, I did a penance. I single-handedly ruined it for everyone because the first set I did, they paid very little, and I was like, well, I'm just going to draw heads, and so every one of them looked like a yearbook photo, sort of like it was just like, and
were they all side profile too, so they didn't have to you didn't have to worry about symmetry?
All three quarters. I wasn't trying to be a total piece of garbage, but when the next set came out, there was new rules, and they were like, no headshots, do full bodies only. I feel like I really tested their patience.
Like another fleece. As Ray's mentioning that Abomination is Hulk plus the creature from the Black Lagoon. I can see it, definitely.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, and then next up we've got Zodiac, who's a character that I'd seen around in comics from time to time. I think the one time I've actually read an ongoing story with it, it was during I want to say the end of the Dan Slott Spider-Man run, or like just towards the end, I should say. That's probably my biggest exposure even at this point. This one's by Mark Texieri, who's always a favorite of ours here at the podcast.
Oh,
Here too.
I dig it. Yep. I was also whenever I do try to get their Instagram handle on there. So if you want to check out their art, check them out on Instagram. It's right there for you to follow.
Oh, cool.
It's a very common sort of like alien face, like that no-nose alien. Everything looks like this. Like he looks like Sleepwalker. He looks like Morph. Yeah. There's like countless movie aliens that look like that. I just went and saw Last Starfighter last night. And the guy that picks him up in the car and flies him off to Xandor or wherever, when he takes his human face off, he's got that same face too. It's just like it's also the Todd McFarlane invasion aliens without the teeth.
Okay. I'm also surprised too that he's smoking on the card. Like I guess he's a villain, so it's okay. But this is still a kids, for kids card set. But they got away with it. It's just in shadow.
Oh yeah. What's interesting is my first thought when I saw it, because I wasn't familiar with this guy, was Zodiac was a character introduced in Nick Fury Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. By Steranko. And he had that crazy Zodiac key that shot 60s acid trip vibes. And he was actually a pretty badass looking villain. And this guy does not, I don't know, this guy isn't grabbing me.
Well, there's a Team Zodiac too, right?
Yeah, and there's a Team Zodiac, and I think he's part of that. Like he's connected, I thought, because he's got the key.
Called Zodiac.
Yeah, like he formed his own team, like Pantheon or something. Like he's like, all right, guys, everyone follow me. Like I'm the leader of the Zodiac, and there's other members, but I think he's like the leader. But again, there's just certain blank spots in my knowledge that if anyone has more info in chat, let us know. I do see that Ray's saying that no sense of smell in space. They've evolved past smell. It's like fair enough. It's a vacuum. I can see that. That's
true. You just kind of freeze over and die unless you're Chris Pratt in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or Princess Leia.
Yeah, or Princess Leia. But she had the Force, Tony. I'm going to just get that away.
Her family's very strong, of course. We know.
Yeah.
I say when we get to the Star Wars Galaxy, we can come back to this discussion.
Oh yeah.
Next up is probably one of my favorites when I was a kid collecting, because it's Walt Simonson doing Apocalypse,
yeah.
and like that is just like I love that those lines on the face on the like his jawline and just that face. It's so iconic to me. I love the mace too, because like the toy that they did in from Toy Biz around this era had a mace arm, and he also had like another arm. It's all interchangeable, and those pipes too. Like everything about this just cries the toy to me that I love every bit of it.
Wow.
I love
a long time.
I love the headshot on the back a lot too. Like I love that crooked mouth. That worked its way into my work all the time. Probably not from this specific Apocalypse card, although I had it, but like just like that whole. I feel like that was a thing that was happening a lot around this time. Big eye, little eye, like they would do sometimes, and then also that was like a Lobo thing, and then crooked mouth is another thing.
Yeah, I've got.
Was that a thing Strowman was doing too at that time?
Was that?
Was that a thing Larry Strowman was doing also at that time? Because I seem to remember seeing. Yeah, I remember seeing that actor. When he was on it. I don't know.
Yeah, it was all about making shapes that were like asymmetrical.
Oh yeah.
This card also is something when I would watch the show, I want to call in and yell about it, because there are certain cards that correctly are like squeezed into the shape of the card, and there are certain cards that just completely screw it up. Like they're just like they're drawing one character. Team Ups was chock full of them, because they would have two characters and they would just be like like
twisting around each other as much as they could.
Yeah. And like their leg was going to go off, so they would just like bend it back in on the card. A lot of corny happening in Team Ups, but this one you can tell like Walt was pushing the edges of the card, and for the most part it works here. Although the designer sort of screwed him with these tangents on the sides, where instead of like it's bursting out, he's just sort of like penned in on the side of the card.
Yeah. And I do like though that despite like he uses every bit of space that he can, and even the background is like, oh, he's from Egypt, so we're gonna have that in the background too. Like it's a good setting.
Although
I think
that like a lady fell down behind the pyramid. I can't. I'm wearing my glasses. I might not be seeing it right, but.
And the Walt Simonson signature, he didn't have room for the dinosaur. He just had a little business.
Yeah.
I see. We've got a Cherry Blossom Killer mentions. Love the time when he didn't have a name. It's like, yeah, there was definitely. I think on the Rogue card at this time too, it was still unrevealed. Like just that, not that it was unknown. It's just unrevealed. Like it's going to be.
Oh
like,
yeah.
And so he's still just like it's not. He's not Abensor yet. He's just Apocalypse. Cream Anderson's asking what exactly is energy projection. Your guess is as good as ours, because he's like again. He's a polymorph to my knowledge for the most part, and so it's like his powers are like he can change shape and alter his own chemistry, but it's also one of the things where it's like, well, whatever the power needs to be for the story, Apocalypse can do that.
Yeah, pick up any comic in the 90s. That's when somebody has a hand and it's glowing, and then the power just shoots out of it. That's the energy projection. Everybody can do it.
Yep.
Basically, all people have energy projection. Psylocke does it. That's like her regular powers. But I think everybody else pretty much, like if Jean Grey wanted to, she could just zap you.
Yeah. Cherry Blossom Killer also mentioned Strong Guy is a good example of no real mouth.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. He had that weird little lower lip thing, looked like a inverted U.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like Rick and Morty.
By the way, Drew, you're asking what looks like a lady fell down behind there. Well, that was a Sphinx. That was a Sphinx that fell back down behind there. So in case you're wondering. Yeah, again, this is, I feel bad. Like there's times where I'm like, yeah, Sphinx from the New Warriors. Yeah. All those adventures, we took down the Sphinx. And it's not something there.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a character, right?
Yep. I mean, and it looks good. Alex did a good job on this. It is funny to see like her intelligence is like up in the 5s and 6s for strength. It's like she's on the top of the charts on characters. Like this is beating out so many other better, well-known characters that people are just like, oh yeah.
Is she stronger than Apocalypse?
She has a better energy projection than Apocalypse.
She's just strong. Oh my
and
God.
more mental power than Apocalypse.
Same fighting ability and faster, I believe. Wow.
Yeah.
Everybody's sleeping on Sphinx.
Yeah. Just wait for her new miniseries. Like she's just gonna be out there and just rocking. We keep having all these new events with the Kree. Like they're sleeping on Sphinx, guys. I don't know what you're thinking.
I really love the lighting on the headshot on the back. I think that's great. And I think he did a better background than Walt did for this weirdly two-row Egyptian theme card set.
Yeah.
My only complaint.
The next one in Egypt too?
What?
What was that?
Is the next card in Egypt also? If we just wandered into like a...
No. The next card is so it sounds like we're ready to move on, and it sounds like the chat is too. They're not really vibing on Sphinx. So next one is the Destroyer Armor by Ron Frenz. And I mean, I'm familiar with the Destroyer Armor. I like that he was in the first Thor movie. I like that he's like there's this history of him being both the armor for Odin and also being its own like security system, so to speak. So I don't know. I do know that there's at least one person in chat who's gonna have more to say on the Destroyer Armor. But gentlemen,
this is a great looking card. The pose is great. Ron Frenz is great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Almost looks like it's got a little bit of a slight Kirby feel to it. I think the arms would be out more. Yeah.
I remember when the Destroyer showed up in the Thor, either it was like the Comic-Con footage or the trailer, and that was the moment where I was like, oh, this is going to be okay. Because up until then, I was just like, who's this guy? What's this? How are they going to make a Thor movie? And then when I saw the full Destroyer, I was just like, oh, okay, well, I'm sure this will be fine.
Yeah. The fact that they used the Warriors 3 and the Destroyer Armor, you're like, oh, they're just okay. So they're not just doing like a updated, like, oh no, it's a more modern historical feel, but no, it's just there they are. He's got a helmet with the wings on it. We're going in. And I'm like, it worked. I definitely think like obviously they stepped into it even further with the Ragnarok stuff with the Kirby designs and just the out there look, but they didn't shy away too much in the first movie.
I gotta say, I was super disappointed. Oh, sorry. Super disappointed that Ragnarok was not featuring my favorite Thor character, Mangog. Because that storyline where Mangog was coming for start the Ragnarok, like making his way all the way across Asgard throughout like the entire story. Like you just see like cut back to a page where now Mangog's, just a little bit closer. Now Mangog's just a tiny bit closer. And it just like built this suspense. And by the time he got to Asgard, he just ripped the holy heck out of it. That had to be the most suspenseful comic.
You talking about the Jurgen stuff?
What's that?
You talking about the Jurgen stuff or the earlier?
No, this was Kirby stuff, dude. I had this when I was a kid in one of those big supermarket giant size editions, and it was all Kirby. And it had the whole story in it. And for the longest time, I couldn't remember what he was called, but I think we did a deep dive on it once in the studio. And it was revealed to be Mangog. Actually, I think, you know what? Burnham actually had that same magazine in the studio once, now that I think about it.
The giant one?
Yeah, the giant Thor one. Yeah, it was boss, man. I mean, that story introduces you to like Baldur the Brave, and his whole Carnilla thing, and it's got Sif, it's got the Warriors 3. I mean, if I had to say to somebody, you need to like understand what Thor is, I'd hand him that giant edition from the supermarket my parents got me.
I've got chat asking, saying, Dixon, where are those spikes? Because they are used to the spikes on the Destroyer Armor. But as Dixon in chat also mentions, this is the second iteration, so it's like this is I guess maybe a more toned down version. I think maybe the first version had more of a aggressive feel to it.
Oh, okay.
It's crazy. They don't usually go less spikes as they move on.
Yeah,
I feel like you would want more spikes,
especially in the 90s.
Yeah, that's Ron Frenz. He's like a classic artist. All of his stuff feels like contemporary but Silver Age at the same time.
Yeah.
I like this card a lot. I think this is great.
Yeah. Ray's saying Ron Friends is always a win, and I agree. And
Me too.
another one who's always a win in this set for me is always going to be Ron Lim. Like he is aside from Paul Mounts, who seriously I think colors every single card in this set. Ron Lim is like second to none in the amount of work he's put into this set and also future sets. Like I'm looking ahead at other stuff like the Marvel Universe Series 2, Series 4, and he does a ton there. And it's like his work's always solid. And it's like he's cranked out so many of these. It's great.
Yeah, I remember going. Sorry.
Very difficult to draw. The doing an up angle on it is the right answer because then you don't have to goof around too much with fingers and stuff. Like you just have to get the arms and the elbows right. Very effective though. It looks like the King of New York movie poster to me for some reason.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's a good card. I don't want to spend too much time on Red Skull because really, why give them more time? Moving forward, we've got Puppet Master by Paul Ryan, another guy who's just been in this set. Paul Ryan, Terry Austin doing the inks. If you were reading during the 90s, this Puppet Master popped up several times. His daughter was dating Ben Grimm. You also had Alicia, or who we thought was Alicia, dating Johnny for a bit. Turned out to be a Skrull. And yeah, that was kind of like what's going on in this era of FF.
Now, I never understood why he had the deformed face. I mean, he just makes me uneasy every time. He's like Impossible Man, but like perverted.
And a human too. Like he's one of those characters that looks like, Kirby was just doing like a funny design, and then they just got stuck with it, like Kirby had a lot of cartoony impulses. And so he's like, oh, this guy's just got like a big dome and a bunch of teeth. But then as people draw more and more realistic, it's just like, oh, this is a horror show, like very creepy looking. You imagine like what the movie version of him would be. It's, he's got shaved eyebrows and he's got his eyebrows drawn on like that. And you're just like, ah.
Weird eyelashes going on.
Yeah, like very long, beautiful eyelashes.
I mean, dude, he's green hair away from being the Joker. If you look at him, I mean, it's weird.
The giant mouth also reminds me, if you guys watch the Justice League animated series at all, they had, and also Superman, they had Toyman, who was just looked like a ventriloquist doll, and he has that same mouth, and it's so just off-putting. You're like, your brain just sees it as wrong. It's like when you see just like, oh, the anatomy on that's just off, and it's just funky, and you're like, okay, no, please no.
Yeah, I would rather have very small teeth than very large teeth.
Small teeth are also disturbing though.
Oh, if they're I have a friend that has very small teeth. I'm telling you though, like if I had the choice between this and his teeth, I'm not taking
Ray in the chat says Clint Howard would have played an awesome Puppet Master.
Yeah. Oh,
you are 100% correct.
Still could.
Yeah. I mean, hey, we're gonna get FF at some point in the new Marvel universe, and Ron Howard's working with Disney, so it could happen. All right. Let's see.
It's funny, like you say that, and I'm just like, we'll never see the Puppet Master. But then I just think about all the people who we have seen. And like, the Vision's been in like 4 movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But never the all white version or the bright green. But I guess we're gonna have WandaVision, so we never know.
True. Never the arcade version where he walks around funny.
Yeah. Got to get Data East to come back and work on that.
Program Dance.
There you go. Next up, we've got Venom by Eric Larson, and it's funny because it's like they have counterparts. Like we have Eric Larson did Spider-Man and he did Venom. Kirk Jarvin did Hulk and Abomination. Like they're having the same artist kind of do both sides, and like I really appreciate it because this Venom looks great. It's just that giant jaw and all that goo. That's so fun.
Classic Larson. Like the hand is bigger than the head, and then just like every limb is outstretched. This is a perfect version of like what I was saying, like it fits within the shape of the card. It's not constrained inside the shape of the card. And just that mouth is so cool. Like you've heard the story about how Venom didn't have a tongue until he started drawing it because he just thought there was a tongue. So like the character was not supposed to have a tongue, and then when Larson came on, he just started drawing a tongue, and people were like, I guess that looks cool. yeah, let's do it. And then it's like the signature thing about this character, this big crazy tongue.
Yeah, we've got Marcus in chat saying just that. I guess it was Larson who was really pushed the crazy Venom mouth. Yeah, because it's like, you're right. I think back to like of course you have Todd McFarlane on the first appearance, and it is just that mouthy grin. Like there's no tongue there. It's just like, it's all teeth. And this is definitely a different take from that to go with. And this stuck around so much. Like this is so iconic to what people see Venom as. And I'm a big Mark Bagley fan, and he has some tongue, but it's not there as much as Eric Larson's. His was like anytime you see some like a shirt, it's usually an Eric Larson design, and it's got that tongue in there.
Yeah, Bagley's way more restrained than Larson was when it comes to just everything, really.
Yeah, I like too, because in this era, he's coming out of the jungle, and this is when he was like marooned on the island after Spider-Man tricked him to being like, "Oh yeah, you killed me. You can just stay on the island and live out your life because I can't defeat you. So you just stay here and leave me alone." And he just hung out on an island for a while.
There's a guy in my junior high school that sculpted this exact head, like with that square jaw and those teeth and that tongue, out of clay. It was like a human's, like a bust size sculpt of the Venom head. And this guy, it looks, if I picture it in my mind, it's like a Bowen statue, like it was just perfect to me. I'm sure it was terrible, but like as a 10-year-old, I was just like, this guy's the greatest artist who ever lived. Every 4 or 5 years, I'll do a deep Google search to try and see what happened to him, and I can never find him. I'm just like, well, he must be working at Sideshow or something. He would also draw very good Predators, like all that stuff from around that period. Predator comics just started coming out. You could draw the crap out of those. Chris Gooch.
Nice. Cream Anderson says, does he get twice the mental power because of the suit? If so, what are they? I'm like, I mean, he does have the ability to, the suit can read his mind and to change into any clothing he needs. It also can block Spider-Man's spider sense. There is some room there to give you a 1-point boost on mental power. This is like shrugging, like whatever the intern decided that day. He's like, Venom looks cool. He's getting a 2 for mental power. Like, but keep in mind, Sphinx can dominate Venom. Sphinx would just destroy Venom.
Well, there's the 0. I think that screws up the power ratings a lot because, like, he doesn't have energy projection, so they have to give him a 1 on energy projection, right?
Yeah.
So his mental powers, that the suit has any mental powers, that obviously puts him above a 1, which should be a 0. The math is also
big time. Oh, does he have his own spider sense? I want to say it depends on the writer. I think there has been times where he's mimicked a spider sense.
Really?
I think so, yeah. But I mean, I'd be hard pressed to give you an issue, but I think it has happened. But then again, too, I think it's not always applied. I think there's times where writers don't think about it and they don't use it. So I don't know. Let's see. Patrick's mentioning that he has a Punisher level intelligence, understands how a gun works. Okay. There's some people who've been with us for a while, Tony. So like they always pull back to the Punisher and how, like, okay, so the Punisher's right here, and this guy's over here. All right, I guess.
Listen, I've been with you for a while as well, Ken. I've seen every episode.
Good to hear. Yeah. All right, so when you saw every episode, were you prepared for Diablo by Tom Morgan?
That's a great card.
I love how it's not like overly busy. Like the background the colors are toned down, so it doesn't draw your eye too much. But if you look back there, like there's a lot going on there. He's got his own little experiments and stuff, and his face is so jovial. Like, ha ha! It's just.
I'm sad for him that he's got to stick his chin to the table while he's looking at his chemicals. That's pretty weird.
Yeah.
Who is this?
This is Tom Morgan.
Oh, okay. Wow.
It's really nice drawing.
It really is. It's got that. I remember one of my favorite principles of designing villains and how to draw comics the Marvel way is that they were very emphatic that every villain had to be somehow deformed, exaggerated. You got to really up the creep factor on a Marvel villain, and this hits every note in that thing. It's just really, you can just hear him going, yeah.
Definitely could be
like a Fu Manchu sort of thing where it doesn't connect on the sides. It just sort of
hangs off. Yeah.
And he borrowed Batroc the Leaper's little head thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like I'd only seen him in a couple issues of Spider-Man, but I guess he's also a Fantastic Four villain. Again, like this is there's going to be blind spots in all of our knowledge, and this one's he was mine, but I definitely remember seeing him in the Spider-Man comic. Like, oh, okay, yeah, he's a Spider-Man villain. Sure.
Yeah. Apparently, he was in Alpha Flight number 103 as well.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Let's see. We've got. We're going back. Got a few pullbacks. Destroyer armor was dumber than the Punisher, so you've got that. Kareem wants us to leave the Punisher alone.
Has anybody ever gotten a 0?
There's no 0.
There's no 0. It bottoms out at 1. Like you have nothing to. There's nowhere to go from there.
If you live in the Marvel universe, you at least have a 1 in all these things. In mental, you got like a 1 in mental powers. It's like
you got a little spark going.
Yeah, got a 1. Willie Lumpkin's got a 1.
Yeah. Diablo apparently has a long time to conquer the world. Can't be that smart. That's fair enough. He's just not good on time management, and he's not organized. Like look at that desk behind him. It's cluttered with things. He needs a good assistant to come in, keep him on task, and he could probably take over the world.
Ken, do you have any idea how difficult it is to create new body parts from scratch?
You know, I don't. That is one of my blind spots. It's something that's been on my work desk for a while, and I just haven't got to it. Patrick says that Molecule Man wants his color scheme back. Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
So right, the
there's got to be like a billion those that are purple and green because they're complementary colors. So that's
dude, yeah,
villain colors.
Isn't Spider-Man's like half of Spider-Man's rogues gallery those colors?
Oh.
You know,
it is, especially if you look at the retro line right now. Like we've got Green Goblin, Electro. There's a Mysterio on this retro card. Like there's like again have Vulture's green. Sandman's got a green shirt. Like it's just like they just used all the green ink.
Yeah.
Welcome Tarf was saying Diablo looks like a Venture Brothers villain. He does. Yeah. Like that is 100%. Like there could be copyright reasons you could fault them on this one. Like they didn't even know about him. They were mocking him and they made him on accident. The
Adult Swim version of him is like this with the collar and the mask and everything, but then he just has like a button-up shirt, as well.
Yeah. There you go. Oh, also someone mentioned Prowler also has the same color scheme.
Yep.
Yeah, from one purple villain to another, we've got the Rose again by Alex Suvak, and I hope I'm saying the name right. I'm not sure, but yes,
or not.
Yeah, I'm not.
It's definitely.
He doesn't have any red on him.
I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Saviuk.
Saviuk, okay. Yeah. But he does have purple roses behind him, so he's staying on brand. Like he's like. It's very specific. For those who don't know, the Rose is Wilson Fisk's son, who eventually became a crime lord in his own right. I think unbeknownst to his father at the time, and definitely like raised up his own criminal syndicate to try and take on his father. And yeah, that's one thing I was kind of curious about when I saw the Into the Spider-Verse movie, and you see a little Richard, like as a kid, they're like, oh, that's the Rose, and I'm like, they could have like that could very easily be like something else that alters the Spider-Verse is with them messing with the multiverse. Like what if something happens to the mother and they're like, oh, well then the Rose raises up his empire and goes to take out his dad. Like, I don't know. My brain goes in all different places.
It's a whole thing, man. I mean, they're working on the new ones. So, we got to go back into the Spider-Verse again. You could pull everything you want to from any direction at this point.
Not very powerful at all, the Rose.
No. Or smart. Like I think he's, again, as we say, I think he might be smarter than the Punisher, but like he's just a henchman almost, really. Like he's not, I don't know, when you compare him to Sphinx, he's nothing.
I mean, 20% is smart Reed Richards, which would make him, I think, probably a genius. The numbers, there's not enough numbers.
No.
Yeah, I feel like he should be at least up to 4 in intelligence. I mean, this guy should be, he like ran around for a good couple of years without anybody knowing who he was.
And he's got glasses.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
and and he can successfully dual wield weapons. Like that's, I think he's definitely given a Punisher a run for his money already, and we're just not giving him enough credit.
The smoke at the top, by the way, is exactly what I'm talking about. Why does it just do that? why is it staying inside this square like that? That's crazy.
Well, see, there's a wind blowing, but his chest is blocking the other gun, so the wind is just right there.
I think these glasses, like when you describe the character, you're just like, he's got like a ski mask and then glasses, and when you say it, it sort of sounds like it's going to be like a Cosby Kid, you know, like he's going to look like Dumb Donald or something. When you see it, it does look sort of menacing. It sort of looks like he doesn't give a. Can we curse on this? I don't know what the rules are.
We can curse.
It's like he doesn't give a fuck at all. You know, like he's just like falling down, like just like this guy at the end of his rope. It's just like, I've got not time to get contact lenses. I'm just gonna put my glasses on top of this mask. Like if I saw a guy with a ski mask, I'd be like, oh, this is no good. But ski mask and glasses.
I love it.
This goes back to the purple and green costume action too, where this is not an uncommon thing. I mean, this guy looks just like a stylish Baron Zemo, really.
Mm-hmm.
He does, yeah. It's as to I believe Kareem's comment earlier, much like Red Skull, he looks like he could also be catering if they needed him to. Like if they had a special event, he could also be one of the caterers. Marcus mentioned that Gang War was when he first started reading Amazing Spider-Man. So like that was right up in his wheelhouse for this villain. Going back to the color things as well. Someone mentioned Lizard, which again we should have thought of right off our bat. He's got the green skin and purple pants.
Yeah,
yep.
So much purple pants in the Marvel universe. It was a real
We're
thing.
a lot of purple pants.
You rarely see purple pants in real life.
I mean, I have a closet full of them. What's wrong with purple pants? Maybe I mean, and they're all cargo pants too. So I don't know how that's going to level out there.
Sure.
Well, it doubles as a utility belt for when you grow in size and then the bottom parts of the legs rip out.
There you go. See,
Marvel right there.
Yeah. And as I'm always talking about Marvel Legends, I'm surprised we haven't seen this character in some set with like multiple heads. Like
You're
you can just
right.
like they've used that suit body dozens of times. Like just give us a rose head in your set. Like you've got another figure right there. Do a black and white suit or like this suit, and then also do one for Mr. Negative, and that's another just like head swap, new figure. Give me toys.
I like that the Fisks all wear white suits like this. Like that's just he's just like, if you're a Fisk man, you wear a white suit.
Well, that should have been like his dad's first tip off of like, wait a minute, that's that Armani jacket I bought for you. Like,
exactly.
Not to mention that he looks bald. He's actually imitating his dad's bald head with the mask not showing any hair. It's all actually tribute.
If he's trying to hide that from Wilson Fisk, it's no good because there's no way you keep that white suit clean. And then
it's yellow here on the card. He's got stuff on it.
Already, it's dingy.
He's been around smokers for a while at the last party he catered, so it's like just been it's trouble to keep clean.
Yeah,
dude, gangsters, they're always smoking that hard tobacco that blows the yellow smoke.
There you go. And the guns too. The guns have the yellow smoke too. So it's he's damned no matter what he does.
Yeah.
I mean, either that or he's a pollen-powered bad guy.
There you go.
He's out shooting the pollen guns, making the good guys sneeze real bad.
So Kareem saying nobody would know who the Rose Head is. They would sell as a nameless henchman for the Marvel box. Fair enough. Welcome says gravy stains from the chafing tables. Now, so from the rough streets of New York all the way over to Latveria, we have Dr. Victor Von Doom.
Paul Ryan again.
Yeah. Wow, I'm Paul Ryan again, of course, because you're gonna have a Fantastic Four artist on this. I love the castle in the background because you're like, where's he from? Oh, he's from Latveria. There you go. But I love too, like his intelligence is a 6. Like I'm a little surprised it's not a 7, considering he should rival Richards. Like,
at times the Beyonder. Come on.
Yeah, and it's like, are we really? He's just getting a 6? Like, come on, guys. Like, you're shortchanging Dr. Doom here. His strength is a 3, and is that with the suit? Like, come on, like his suit's awesome. Like, how does this? He's got good energy projection, I guess, but I don't know. I'm a little bit jilted by these stats. Like, come on, what's going on
I
here?
feel like the last time I was on this show, we noticed that they were really undercutting some characters and what they could have had going. It seems like the intern was really just kind of moody.
Yeah,
I don't think of him as particularly fast either. I feel like 2 is a bit much for speed on. I mean, he's wearing a suit of armor.
I mean, maybe it's because of the rocket boots or the rocket pack. I mean, that's the best I can give it. Or you know what else? The intern who wrote this could have been Richards. He could have been like, "Not this time, Doom."
Now I got a minor art complaint here on the back of the card. Like if I was drawing that, I would have had the hood drape a little bit across the forehead on that other side. Because why do we need his whole domey, silly looking forehead?
It looks like that shot at the beginning of a sitcom where like he looks back over his shoulder and smiles at you. Like
that's true.
Standing tall on the wings.
Oh, God.
Sorry for the singing, guys. I apologize to everyone, our viewers.
Johnson.
I love that. Also, someone pointed out, at least it's not a 45 in his hands. So yeah, like not only does he have one magical hand, he's also like, I've got this gun too because I'm tired of your shit.
That's like technology and magic. That's real doomy.
Yeah.
All Ryan knows what he's doing. I love Dr. Doom's quote. I live by that shit. Me and Dr. Doom also think that pain is like love, like compassionate. It's only a thing for lesser men.
That's true.
What is pain to Doom, Drew?
What?
What is pain to Doom?
I mean, you nailed it right there. That's yours. We should just, get you a T-shirt and call it good.
I'll make that face on it.
When I make the comic banter trading cards, that will be your quote, Tony.
Thank you.
What is pain to Tony?
That's exactly it.
For lesser men.
There you go.
Yeah, one thing I want to mention before we move on from this too, Ken, is that new Fantastic Four Marvel Legends figure.
Damn. The vintage one or the Super Scroll?
The new Doctor Doom that they just did that just came out. I saw one at Best Buy recently, and I was pissed at myself later because I should have bought it. That is the best Doctor Doom action figure I've ever seen. And it wasn't the vintage one with the Kermit the Frog thing going around the cape.
Okay, yeah. So it's the Super Scroll Build-A-Figure wave.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I got to get me one of those. And unfortunately, I'm watching his price already start to rise on Amazon.
He's pretty expensive on the secondary market. The funny thing is, I think we can still order a case. So essentially, all 8 figures. Nice. So it's like you can buy a case if you want, but it's like the offset for the price is like if it's worth it for you to get the FF. But you get 2 things and 2 Dooms. So it's definitely a question I have to ask myself.
I might just wander back to Best Buy. I don't think anybody is really figure collecting at Best Buy.
Yeah,
during COVID, people are running up in Best Buy looking for action figures.
I mean, I was shocked when I saw it. I went over there looking for a computer for my son, and I was like, I'll just walk by the Nintendo aisle, see what's going on over there. And then there's toys, like good ones. I mean, they had Star Wars Black, Tony. They had little Star Wars guys. I mean, just a ton of Star Wars. Marvel Legends. I think they had a McFarlane figure or 2 as well. I mean, they actually had more than Target did at the time.
They must be trying everything now that people just get everything off Amazon.
I mean, they do have. Because it's Toy Talk time now. They also did like the Mandalorian. The Heavy Trooper is also exclusive to. He was a timed exclusive to Best Buy.
Really?
Was. Yeah, a timed exclusive. He eventually became other places, as well as General Grievous was as well. So it's like they have their own kind of like little niche of collectibles there as well. I do go there because they do clearance stuff down pretty well in addition to that too. So you could find stuff at a cheap price once it's fallen off the radar.
Oh, nice.
And they offer a good warranty on all those toys, I'm sure.
Well, you have to get the buffer that buffs out all the scratches on the discs, and that's included with that. So.
You get the Geek Squad, they come out and shine your figure for you every few weeks.
There you go.
People watching at home, that is a perfect drawing of energy projection. Just in case anybody's still wondering what that is. That's what Dr. Doom's doing here. He's projecting.
Now, does he get points for his little blow dryer having energy projection abilities as well?
No, I think that falls under intelligence or fighting ability. I don't know.
Oh. Now, I want to know, did anybody use these for like maybe some sort of made up role playing game so they could put these statistics to use?
Oh, I'm sure somebody must have.
They must have to.
I know Marvel did have role playing game books out at this time. They had some stuff out there.
I remember.
And it's like I do know people talked about like we would use these as like an argument to like, oh, this person has this stat. I've always been curious if people have done that. Like, oh yeah, this is my stats card. Like, but I don't know. Anyone in chat, let us know.
This is sort of turned into HeroClix, like the collectability of it. You buy packs, you don't know what you're going to get in it, all that sort of thing. Sort of that was the evolution.
As an aside, and I'll try to make this story quick. When I was a kid, for the original DC role-playing game and the original Marvel role-playing games, they made lead figures. And I had a whole bunch of sets of them, and I'd paint them up. And my brother and I would play kind of like almost HeroClix-like games. And we'd have to invent these stats on our own because we'd roll dice, and compare them with the stats. If I had had these cards back in the day, we would have had a really good game going.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not too long after this card set came out, you also had Overpower, which was their really simplified version of kind of like a Magic-esque. But even comparing it to that was a little bit complimentary because it was not that fleshed out. It was like they only had 3 stats. Eventually, when they did the DC set, they introduced a 4th stat. There was like mental powers, which because otherwise before then you didn't have a good representation for a lot of characters. So Overpower was very simple. I do have some of the cards because I remember I think we've talked about this before. There was a special card specifically in Lunchables, and it was Scarlet Spider. And so I bugged my mom for Lunchables for a long while, trying to get all of the Scarlet Spider Overpower cards.
Man. Yeah, that's great. I like when the important piece that you need is somewhere where you have to go and get it. Like if that Charleston Chew comic would have been some important continuity.
Oh my goodness! Oh, or the mail away UNICEF comics that were in the books at the time.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, that's the first appearance of Omega Red Sun, Omega Blue, and like, oh, I don't have that. It's a 9/8. I need it graded.
Yeah. Did you get the Charleston Chew one? I definitely got that thing.
I did not. I don't think I did any of the mail away stuff for comics. I'm trying to remember because I did some for GI Joes, but not for comics. By the way, there's also a GI Joe trading card set, also from Impel. That's also in the stack of like, do we do it? But
I didn't know they did that.
Yep. Let's see. Cherry Blossom Killer asked if they smelled like cheese. You know what? They were individually wrapped, thankfully, so they weren't in with the meat and slices and the cheese slices. So the Overpower cards were safe in that regard.
Didn't get any of that mustard on them.
No. Alex Chung says, fellas, please let me know when there's a Star Wars Werner Herzog toy. I will keep you posted on such.
Alex, I did see on I think it was, I can't remember if it was the SHF Star Wars page on Facebook or if it was the Star Wars Black Collectors. Somebody had customized the entire scene with Herzog where he gives the Mandalorian the mission, and they did customize a Herzog figure to go with that, and it was amazing.
So customs.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's like make a figure of that guy. Nobody's been more excited about a Star Wars character. Like,
Oh,
yeah.
That dude hugged Baby Yoda. Like, did you see that thing? I mean, he was like,
oh yeah, for sure. Heartbreakingly beautiful.
Yeah.
There's Alex also mentions those UNICEF Venom comics were great. I'd want to check them out still. Let's say welcome. Find out what happens at the end of X-Men Executioner song by mailing away for the Charleston Chew.
Exactly.
Enjoy the cavities.
Oh man.
All right, and then so going from one like amazing level villain to the next, Magneto, the Master of Magnetism, by Kirk Jarvinian.
Thank
Right? You very much for being here. Yeah, I'm gonna go with it.
Is there an Is there an I after?
After the V, it's,
Jarvinian.
yeah, Jarvinian.
Jarvinin.
I can't see. It's too small.
I'm not definitive on this. I am definitive on Saviuk.
All right. But I mean, you've got Eric Lancher, the master of magnetism. I realized too, again, like we talked, his real name is just Magnus. It's not Eric Lancher. It's just Magnus at this point. We still didn't know who he was. It's just, here's this guy, and you just took it for face value.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I'm calling him Eric in classic X-Men comics.
I'm curious if it was just did he say that was like, you could call me that? Patrick likes that he's annoyed at his profile picture. That's pretty Magneto. I agree.
Yeah, he looks like Ron Perlman. He's got like this crazy jaw. Profile picture.
Yeah.
Was he ever called Eric prior to the? Was it the Dave Cockrum comic where they showed the origin of his and Professor X's relationship, or is that Cockrum?
I don't know. I can't remember off the top of my head either. But I've been reading like the Claremont stuff recently, and then I've been reading the classic X-Men because they got like those extra pages, and I feel like in some of those Magneto backup stories they called him Eric, but I might be
wrong. Kareem wants to know what the hell kind of mental powers does he have? He can mentally control magnets and metal. Like that's mentally he does that. So that's his mental power. I mean, it's. Oh, and also, Welcome says it's possibly the helmet.
Yeah, I think the helmet has his mental powers.
Yeah, he can protect him from Professor X, which not many others can do. So there you go.
Yeah, if we're counting the Dr. Doom's boots as speed, we can count his helmet as mental powers.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I like this pose a lot. It's got real like Arthur Adams energy. Who's that, Quinn?
Say hi, Tony.
Hi.
What's up, son?
Hi, guys.
Good.
That's
hair's all long.
What's that?
Hair's all long.
I know. We have a long time around here. Yep. So I got one more I got to do.
That's all right.
Is that Karen?
Well, no, that was Cole.
Oh, it's like a full-grown woman.
Hi, Tony.
Hey, Cole.
Night.
Night.
Sorry, it must be bedtime.
No, it's all good. I just got to set yours to a team card next time. Just flip it over. Like, okay, now it's the Johnsons.
Yes.
There you go.
Just cram in there.
Just do the little cutout. There's like, they got to fit themselves in the card somehow.
Yeah.
It was crazy that they had everybody draw the cutout themselves. They didn't just provide the artist with like a cutout template. They're like, yeah, just do a cutout. It's like a giant size X-Men. You know what to do.
Yeah, there's do a cut around there. They'll be fine. Kareem saying about the metal thing. If that's the case, then does Doom get robbed from energy any projections? I don't know. Like he's the fact that his energy projection is right up there with Doom's is definitely interesting. Like he did get robbed. Doom's got mystical powers. He's got technological powers. He should be a lot up higher in a lot of those scales.
That's totally true.
His strength should be much higher too.
Yeah. All right. And then from two of the most well-known Marvel characters to the most well-known Marvel villain, Necrom.
Yeah.
Necrom from Excalibur.
Wow.
I have again, and also let's jump to the fact that like Necrom, who we're laughing at and just kind of bum fuzzles by, a 5 on energy projection, a 5 on intelligence, a 6 on mental powers. He's again a character who's just like he can take a lot of people we've passed by. Good heavens, who is Necrom? I don't know.
What
I
is
feel
coming
like he's hypnotizing me right now. He's staring right into my heart.
Yep.
Good Lord. What is coming out of his nostril, you guys? His right nostril it looks like
shadow, right?
popping.
It's supposed to be shadow, I think, but it does look like a something sticking out of it.
Yeah, it looks like there's a nail going from his left nostril through his right nostril. It's some sort of strange color issue, maybe.
He's one of these carnies trying to do that trick with a nail.
Yeah, dude.
We've got Patrick telling me that he is a possible Phoenix host.
Oh.
Okay. I mean,
First.
I'll take your word for it. I didn't read Excalibur during this time, and we did have Rachel on that team, so it's certainly possible that there was a story there. Man, I was not aware of it. That's right. I'm sorry. We did forget to say it is Dennis Cohen's. I'm sorry, Dennis Cohen, singular.
Oh, okay.
Um,
The signature was upside down for me here.
yeah, it's on the side there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cream does agree that it looks like a bolt in it. And also Patrick saying it's a sweet piercing. Yeah. And also that, yes, it is true. He does speak English. Let them taste real power. Yeah, I've got so little to say for Necrom. I'm sorry for those expecting me to come to the table. I feel Victor would have stepped up and been like, "Oh no, guys, I know about Necrom. Sit back. I'll tell you a tale."
I would have loved to have heard that.
Wedding, he said. How could it be more important than Necrom?
Yeah. It's actually the wedding of one of his relatives and one that it used to be a customer at the shop. So Peter, congratulations, by the way. We should have said it earlier.
Man, you guys are marrying people off at this shop too? That's amazing.
I know. We're a full service shop. We try and take care of you.
Comics, Kids, and Toys, everyone. Tustin, California.
Critter Paladin says, other than the nose thing, the portrait is awesome. Yeah, it definitely it's striking. It's good. It's got it. It's almost not that the full piece isn't a good piece, but that it's your eyes are just like drawn to it. You're like, oh, good heavens.
Yeah, it's great. That's maybe my favorite headshot so far. It's just super creepy.
Yeah, he's staring into my soul. It's really bugging me.
What's up with this? He's got like a weird collar. You know, like it's sort of like a Demonicos or whatever in Bill and Ted's 2. Like he's got that.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
And then he's got the robe. The robe has like that U-shaped thing, but then there's like a foam thing on top of it. It's a lot. He's got a whole bunch of business going on there.
Or does he have a really skinny neck and then he just has a gigantic hoop collar around?
Like a stretched out T-shirt.
Yeah, for some reason, green light coming up from his torso.
Yeah, but it also matches his skin. He's like, no, I wanted to coordinate.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Cherry Blossom Killer is asking, is that an energy hand or is his hand trapped in amber? And I'm like, that's a really good question. It could be either.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's trapped in amber or if it's energy power.
Now he's got a lot of energy projection powers, of course.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, and also he can bop you in the head with that amber.
You needed to clone him. You could drill into that amber.
Then you got Necrom Island.
Welcome to Necrom Park. Ilsa Nebula is now home to the Necrom.
Taste the real power.
So from one green skin goof to the Green Goblin, we got Basal Buscema, those eyes, that face. This is classic Green Goblin. Also to note too that this is Harry Osborn. Growing up, a lot of people were like, "Oh, Green Goblin," and then Harry becomes the Hobgoblin, right? I'm like, no, that's a different guy altogether. He inherited the mantle, and later on, I mean, yeah, it's around this era is also when he passed away because he used too much of the Green Goblin serum and ended up dying, and his heart exploded. And then later on came back because deals with the devil, and there you go. But I mean, it's a Green Goblin, exactly what you need. And again, we were talking about earlier, part of that retro wave, all red and green. Like there's tons of them. He's in this wave. He's got crazy eyes. It looks great.
Yeah. So go ahead.
In that Tobey Maguire movie, I mean, weren't we all disappointed that we didn't get this guy with the silly hat and the funny face instead of the techno-looking goblin where he's,
a Power Ranger?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying about the Destroyer. You know, like when you assume they're going to put the Destroyer in a movie, you think he's going to look like that, like, like a big Megazord or something.
Yeah.
And then when it looks great, you're just like, oh, great, man, this is going to be cool.
Yeah, they did it. I do like Welcome Tarf says, yeah, Scowling Pumpkin Bomb, not like a little orange techno grenade, but just a pumpkin. He's just throwing little explosive pumpkins at you.
Oh, I love that, dude. I mean, can you imagine he's out like at his penthouse, like picking pumpkins, like little baby pumpkins and stuff.
Carving them out, filling them with explosives.
The pumpkin patch.
Yeah.
Going out for the weekend with his family.
Dude, I mean, like if you had to die by a pumpkin bomb and go out with a pumpkin splattered face, it just It's the icing on the death cake. It's
It's so demeaning.
I mean,
Green Goblin's quote too. Maybe I'm a supervillain. I agree. I cannot accomplish
speaking of quotes, I've got to go back to Kareem's in chat. They're too busy with whether or not they could make Necrom. They never asked whether or not they should. Thank you, Kareem. Chef's kiss. Thank you. That was good.
Spot on.
I love the artwork. This is probably my favorite front artwork so far. Just like the pose is so great. Sal Buscema, I've recently had like a new appreciation for because I was rereading the Simonson Thor, and when he comes along, it's just like, I mean, I love Simonson's work, but when Sal comes along, it's just like such a nice other flavor that you get, and like his issues are so beautiful. That Balder miniseries is so beautiful, and this right in there, like the actions there, like it looks like he just hucked that thing. The smoke going up to his crotch like that, I feel like could have been avoided if he was spending more than like a couple hours on this thing or an hour or whatever.
Yeah, that's fine with his crotch clothing material too. Creates kind of a tangent.
Yeah, but I mean, all in all, like just the way that the Goblin glider is drawn is great. Everything about it really is speaking to me.
Yeah.
I really those eyes like so creepy.
Yeah, just that little itty bitty dots and just those big giant eyes. Welcome Tar for saying I feel embarrassed for Green Goblin when I see the stats right after Necrom. Yeah, yeah. With how many comics we've seen Green Goblin in, and how many times we've seen Necrom, I don't know where Necrom and Sphinx are just kicking back because maybe that's what it is. They took over an island and they said, no, I'm good. I've got my little slice of the pie. I'm just gonna chill. Green Goblin's still out there trying to get his because he's just not as powerful as them.
If Necrom ever took on Spider-Man, Spider-Man would have ran for like 2 issues. Like it just would have been like Amazing Fantasy 15, 16, he's done. Necrom showed up.
Spidey tasted real power and it was all over,
Yeah, Green Goblin's just a dude with some serum, like he's got a glider. This Necrom, he's a vessel that could take the whole Phoenix Force.
There you go.
I just like that he's a vessel,
Yeah.
They look like they could be related though.
Yeah. Critter Paladin says, I'm surprised his strength is only 2. Yeah, especially considering he's had his own. I mean, at times it's been compared to like a later version of the Super Soldier Serum is what part of that Goblin base was.
Oh, really?
And it's like, yeah, in certain stories they've said like, oh, they kind of perpetuated out of the same idea of like a steroid enhancement similar to that, and it's just like that, and they just get down to the idea of like, oh yeah, it's like this. So, but yeah, he's only a 2. That's kind of crazy.
Do we think this is a moon that was supposed to be behind him up there in the top corner, like that white area?
Oh, that's a good question.
It's got a
skyline, and then it's not clouds.
Yeah, it has a slight curvature to it, but because I don't, or he's right. I mean, he's right in front of a billboard, and that's the bottom of it, and it's just because he's hitting Spider-Man on the rooftop.
Yeah,
it is just blank space. So
yeah. I feel like if it was the moon, I guess the lighting is sort of doing that. Like Mounts is doing that, right?
Yeah.
What if it was that Sal drew it? What?
The lighting's coming from the other side too. It's like classic '90s double lighting.
Oh yeah. What if Sal drew that as the cut line, and he had Goblin coming off of the scenery like that?
Oh.
They did the inset thing and stuck it in there like that.
You did the square instead. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a tangent, like there's a bunch of messed up tangent work going on in the smoke behind his leg. And it looks like they cut off some of the artwork a little bit.
Yeah, maybe he wants to do one of those ones with a triangle.
Yeah, because there's been other trapezoids, and so it's like, why would this one be? Because the next one up has a similar shape where it's like it could have been cut differently, and that could have been part of that loss.
Ken, have you approached any of these artists about trying to get them on and talk about the?
I have not. I've definitely had. There's actually a couple sets that I have in the works. That there's. We do actually have the set that Ray Anthony Height worked on in 2015. I've got that in the works. I was actually going to try and reach out to Ron Lim. Anybody, if you know Ron Lim, let him know that I'd like to have him on the show. He's definitely one of my first guys I want to go after. But there's some people I do want to reach out to, and maybe instead of doing a full focus like this, go on specific card and be like, hey, you worked on this set. And there's like with the next series, they do 9 pocket pages. And so you have all 9 cards make up one image. So it's like you'd have all 9 cards drawn by Ron Lim, and it's all the Spider-Man villains. Or there's another one he did as well. And like, I want to have him and trying to get all the artists who did those big splash page cards all together.
That would be an incredible resource. I'm on board for this.
Nice. Let's see. Oh, nope. Jumping back here. I saw a comment that I thought was really good from Kareem. He can create a hoverboard, but he's just as dumb as the Punisher. Yeah. He's supposed to be a scientist. But you know what? This is Harry. This is Harry, so he's dumber, and he didn't create it. This is his dad's equipment, so there's that. And also, I mean, I guess that's the biggest thing.
Baby, this is like the Trump goblin. He never had to earn anything.
Yeah, this is Eric. This is. It's like
you got this guy blew it so bad that he took too much goblin serum and blew his heart out.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, how smart is he?
Oh, you know what? I just realized too. Critter Paladin already shot that bird down too. He said his dad created the glider. Fair enough.
I just love the idea that like Harry's looking at the cookbook for the serum. He's like, all right, 2/3 of a cup of serum. Bloosh. Oh well, I'll just be that much stronger. A glove.
His heart explodes. He was such a good dude too. Like him and Pete were friends. I can't believe he fell into these dragon ways like his father. What a bummer.
Let's see. All right. Hashtag nepotism. All right. And next up is, of course, the classic Marvel, just unique to their universe, Dracula. By Ron Wagner. From his first appearance in Tomb of Dracula, not Bram Stoker's Dracula, but Tomb of Dracula, 1972. There's a Dracula in both the Marvel and the DC universe. It's just one of those characters that they're like, well, he's public domain, let's use him. Go for it.
There's Frankenstein's too in both.
Yeah, there's Frankenstein's, Wolfman. There's, I guess, do we count? Is there a Creature of the Black Lagoon, like other than just characters in the Namor verse?
Creature and Wolfman are both not in the public domain. They're both universal copyright. But you can have there's Marvel by Night, obviously, in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
And they have they obviously have like undersea creature from the Black Lagoon type creatures, and they have swamp things and stuff like that. Or Man Thing. But yeah, I remember when this card came out, it was the first time I knew that there was a Dracula in the Marvel universe. Like I was not old enough to know about Tomb of Dracula at that time. And then soon after this, they reprinted the X-Men versus Dracula comics as like just a 2-issue thing, or maybe 3 issues. Maybe it's just a one-shot. And so then I was just like, oh, he's like in the universe. Even when I saw this, I couldn't believe that he was like that he lived in the same world as Spider-Man,
Oh, yeah. Dude, how shocked were you when he sucked Storm's blood and turned her into a vampire?
Yeah, it's crazy. That's the comics that they reprinted.
Yeah. And then also later on, there was the entire, I want to say it's War of the Vampires in the X-Men run, where they turn Jubilee into a vampire. And there's like, they do the full like Kindred the Embraced, all the different houses of vampires. They went all in for a while there.
They just were dealing with the vampires in Jason Aaron's Avengers too.
Okay. Really?
Blade on the team, and then they were.
Oh right, yeah.
They were going up against a bunch of vampires then too. I'm a little bit behind on that. They've been doing this. Where's Moon Knight's power come from? Khonshu.
Khonshu, yeah.
The god of the moon.
I don't care about Khonshu. It's very hard to get me in on that one. I just have issues stacking up. But the Dracula stuff was great. Blade's got like a man thing that lives on his shoulder, and he keeps growing. Yeah, it's like a little baby man thing, and he's like a shoulder strap, like a messenger bag almost. And he's growing new
it's a
stakes.
European carry-all.
Right, exactly. With the little man thing in it, and he grows stakes, and then Blade just stabs.
What?
And then he grows new stakes and hands them.
That's kind of cool, I gotta say.
They're like,
Yeah.
we want a Groot on the team, but we can't use Groot, so we'll find another way to.
Yeah.
Welcome is curious. Is Jubilee still a vampire? I never had closure on that. I don't think we have closure on that, to be honest. Last I remember, she still was. Actually, you know what? Last I remember, she still was, but ever since the Powers of X and House of X, it's likely that she was reborn not as a vampire. I say likely. I don't know for sure.
I keep thinking that lady in the Krakoa stuff that like watches over everything is Jubilee because she has Jubilee colors, but it's not Jubilee. You know who I'm talking about? She's like the
Sage. She has the she has the glasses. It's Sage. Yeah.
Yeah. She's like the man.
Yep. Yeah, and then definitely if you are a fan of Critter Paladin's mentioning Khonshu, if you're a fan of Thor and you want to and you also like Moon Knight, there's some recent stuff happening in that Avengers that Jason Aaron run that you might want to check out because there's a pretty big like bomb that was dropped recently and you might want to check that out.
In the Khonshu stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh dang! Now I have to go look at it.
I
mean, Tony, I'm a big Moon Knight fan, and you're insulting me terribly.
I'm sorry. Do you care about Khonshu?
Man, I love Khonshu.
Okay.
He found him in a museum. He's or no, he didn't. It wasn't a museum. I think somebody stole the guy with the skull face and the metal teeth stole the Khonshu statue. No, he killed Mark Spector, then buried him in a tomb where he came upon Khonshu. And for some reason, Khonshu was wearing a cloth cape that was perfectly clean.
Not like those suits in New York. It's
no.
On a side note, say, Drew, do you need the new Marvel Legends Moon Knight? Because we can track him down too. Since we're gonna go back to Toy Town.
The one in the new outfit.
The Walgreens, the classic outfit.
My God, I'd kill for that, dude. I was so just like distraught when I didn't have money in my pocket to buy the Mezco one because the Mezco one was, it's beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jumping back, so Moon Knight kicks the Avengers' ass. Black Panther versus FF style. All right, yeah, it's definitely a relief. It's interesting to take the way they spin some of the stuff to give him the power to do so because it's like Moon Knight taking on the Avengers as a standalone. Like it's kind of unheard of, but they do. Jason Aaron does a good job of like flipping the script on some characters.
Yeah. That run's been very fun so far.
Yeah. And with Ed McGuinness doing some of the art, it definitely had my attention right off the bat.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Sauron by Mark Teixeira. And
nice.
Star of this set, I think. Like all of his cards are great.
The only thing that Victor would want me to mention here is like it looks great and the moon's there in the background, but what's he doing in the city? Like I think Sauron, I don't think city. Like I need jungles. I need other like pterodactyls. I need something there. But otherwise, I mean, it's beautiful. But just like the background, almost like question mark.
Yeah, I don't think Tex is a weekend or a Wednesday warrior. I don't think he was on his Sauron continuity at this time. That's a crazy long tail for him too. Like because you see, it's like partially over there and then it curves out.
Whips all the way around the back up top. It's massive.
Yeah, that's a heck of a rat tail.
Yeah.
And also too, like the inset card in the back, that headshot is great. Like it just again where it uses as much space as possible. Like he's just like that whole beak is in frame. Like it's not just like a head-on shot. It's like no, this is a giant dinosaur monster.
Yeah.
I just love his eyebrows, and the eyebrows, boom.
Yeah, you can't forget those eyebrows. Whenever he talks, it always catches me off guard because you just see him and you're just like, well, this is a monster. And then he's just like, do you hear me, you soft pink bags of rice, favorite flesh? Good Lord. Did that monster say that? How does he speak? He doesn't even have lips.
I mean, he's got a point. And he does, and you do actually get him. There are some speaking lines he has in the X-Men cartoon series. Like he does have speaking roles. And they did that same kind of like, I am Lycos. Like, yeah, that's my
also
my
like
Sauron.
You see this guy and you're just like, oh, what's his name? Oh, his name is Carl. That guy's name is
Coral.
Carl. Classic Carl look right there.
Yep. Marcus was asking, he wasn't always in the Savage Land. No, he definitely had some adventures in the city, but it's like when I think of Sauron, I think of the Savage Land. To which Patrick wants to say, it's a concrete jungle. Fair enough.
I mean, how is he getting out of the Savage Land? Is he flying home on an airplane?
I mean, he was in the Brotherhood of Mutants, right? Like they would go places together. He'd probably get on a boat with them or a plane or something.
But I mean, you flying coach? Are they renting their own private jet? Like,
I know.
you
I
got-
never
I mean,
saw Brotherhood jet.
he's not going to fit in the regular seat, like especially not in coach. Like he's got to have first class at least.
West plane. We know that from Kevin Smith.
There you go.
I just feel like that guy is not going to want to leave the Savage Land. He is a guy who's just going to be more comfortable being a dinosaur in the Savage Land. You come to the city, you're wasting your time. I mean, that's like having Kazar in the city. It just doesn't, you could do it, but why?
Yeah.
He wants to go out there and suck people's energy. All the best superheroes are in New York. That's like a buffet for him.
That's true, I suppose. But there's plenty of, Savage Land people and weird mutant things he could go around sucking energy off of.
Patrick's upset that we can't see his jorts. I would say for this one, he actually has the loincloth version.
It's a little dicey in there. Just like I guess you can sort of tell it's a loincloth, but it's not immediately clear that that's what's going on right from the jump.
Yeah,
it does look
pants on.
I will say that mine's definitely again informed by the action figure because it does have just that loincloth, so my mind goes there automatically.
Yeah. Nice.
Let's see. What are his mental powers? He actually has mind control. Once he can mind control people after he's sucked their energy. So. Yeah. Same voice as the Birdman and Thundercats. Yeah, pretty much. That's basically the same voice.
Same eyebrows.
Yeah. Where do those X-Forces issues take place? I don't. I mean, does it? It's issue number 5. So
background
right there.
To be fair, could have been anywhere.
Or yeah, would they have come to the city at that point for an X-Force story?
No. The X-Force were training out in like Westchester area, right? Like, wasn't the Cable's compound like near X-Men anyway? Let me look this up. This is important.
Also, tell Alex Chung to get off of Twitter and pay more attention to what we're talking about.
Yeah, what's he doing? It's like actual stuff happening in the world.
I know. He's over here retweeting Chris Moreno instead of paying attention to me and Tony. And
wow. I don't think Chris is on this live stream. I mean, he's welcome to come, but he's got to pay his dues. He's got to be on the show. He can get a card of his own, but he's got to pay the piper. Welcome is mentioning Carl. Put some pants on. The Brotherhood needs groceries.
Get out there into town.
Is he carrying groceries and flying at the same time? No.
Well, maybe it is back pause. We do have Dixon here clarifying it is Vulture Man in Thundercats. His name was Vulture Man.
Thank you.
Oh.
No points this round, Joe. Sorry.
Tony, are you looking at Alex Chung on Twitter now?
No, I was trying to look up where X-Force took place, but it mostly took place in like graphic shapes, like long circles, tubes, and grids and stuff. They were always in a danger room style bunker.
That does seem to be a thing. Plus, if they did want to go to the Savage Land, though, didn't they body slide everywhere or something?
Oh yeah, they could do that for sure.
Yeah. What is a body slide? I mean, I thought, like teleportation, you just call it that. But body slide, does that involve, do you slip through time?
It's like a slip.
It just sounds dirty, is what he's like. I don't know how I want to do that. Like Deadpool seems far too happy. It's just like, okay, no. Next up, we got Cyber by Sam Keith.
Oh, nice.
I love those, like every little nodule of those muscles that are all adamantium arms that have been grafted to his body. Because despite it being a rare mineral, they had enough to make 2 full arms out of it for Cyber.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love how he's I don't think I've ever seen a version of him who's shaved. Everything is just stubbly. So it's definitely like a key identifying marker for Cyber.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Also, he's got those Mickey Mouse gloves. That always struck me as a little bit strange. You look so badass, and then he's just like, "Let me put on my isotoners."
Why would you with
bare metal?
Why do gloves?
Because it's
Oh.
complicated to draw that shit on fingers.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that.
Yeah,
No.
they did it for Colossus though. Like that's very similar to Colossus, but I guess that's not. Sam was just like, no, he's wearing gloves. This is the episode. This is the issue where he wears gloves. You guys don't remember that one?
The all glove issue.
Yeah, he was an early proprietor of the Blue Sun Corporation, 2x2 Hands of Blue. So he's like, okay, there you go.
Nice.
This makes me want. You guys keep talking for a second. I've got this trade. If it's in the right place, I'm going to see if he wore gloves the whole time in that.
Oh, this is really bugging you, huh?
Yeah.
Kareem's like, he can't leave fingerprints. Fair enough. But if he has robotic hands, did they put robotic fingerprints on his new hands so that he'd still have? He's like, no, I still want to feel like a human. So give me little fingerprints on my robotic hands.
I never once thought of that. Everybody who ever got like bionic metal arms in comics might have been like, oh, I miss my fingerprints.
They can, like, all the biometrics that we've had for like on phones and stuff for a while and computers, like you couldn't do that.
It would only matter now, but wasn't cyber from the 90s. So
yeah. Welcome's mentioning it's very Max style. That's because Sam Keith created the Max. Wait, is it the Max or just Max? Because I'm mixing it up with the Pit.
The Max.
Okay.
Also, he's got those Kelly Jones serratus muscles going on here.
The trade is missing. It's not put away correctly.
I would blame Alex Chung, who now just happened to wander back into chat. I mean, saying heavy metal hands and fingers are harder to grip things. You know what? Maybe, Alex, maybe. They couldn't be tweeting about other things going on while their friends were doing podcasts, but, you know, what have you.
Alex, check Twitter. They can tell. You monster.
Bloodthirsty, sick monster. This is not one of the quotes on these cards here. It's like I see what they're trying to do, but it's not super good.
Yeah.
You can see it as a metaphor for the fleeting nature of life, or just chalk it up to my being a sick, bloodthirsty monster. I get it. It's the 90s. Everybody's just so fucking over it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody was really down with being a monster in those days. It's just, I always was struck by the whole thing about how they're okay, you know, like admitting they had an evil plan.
Yeah.
You know, that they were bad, they were a monster. But it never seemed like they had, you know, like ego issues or they were depressed. They were just all down with it.
I watched a video about Sam Keith's career on YouTube the other day. And from all the videos that this guy put together, it seems like he really has like a self-esteem issue. Like he hates his work a lot of the time. Yeah, and I find it so hard to believe because his stuff always looks I mean, confident is not really the word. Like there is sort of like a lot of idiosyncrasies to it, but I always thought that was like that came from a place of confidence. It messes me up to look at this and think like, oh, that guy probably didn't like this when he turned it in.
Yeah, that always bums me out when I know that about somebody. They're just like, oh, that's trash.
Yeah.
Marcus is mentioning his skin and fingernails are adamantium, not his whole arm. I actually didn't. I thought they were like fully cybernetic arms, but it's just the skin that's adamantium. That's a little more gross. And his fingernails, like, so do they grow? Like, how does that even work? Like, in my brain is just like, what is going on there?
If they keep growing after he dies, that'd be a great way to get new adamantium.
Constantly replenish it. Yeah, fair enough.
Oh,
and
man, just get rich off of that.
He said, he just read the card. I'm like, fair enough. Like that's how little I read this card when I was a kid and now.
And just now.
And we got things to talk about here. We don't have time to read the card. Are you kidding?
Yeah. We got a question.
Self-loathing.
We got a question why his mental powers and intelligence stats are rivaling that of a 3 and mental powers is a 5. What mental powers? I thought he was just a brute. What is this cover?
Weird. What is he doing? Plus, he's apparently selling his cyber self or his cyber hard self to the highest bidder.
He's like a mercenary. Yeah, he has the telepathic control over any opponent. Why would you adamantium skin at that point?
Yeah, you're just like, hey, go jump off that bridge.
Real hat on a hat.
Yeah. He's just gonna like stab you with adamantium on your way down just to really stick it to you.
Yeah.
It's random. Like he suddenly reminds me of the controller, and this is mainly because of the hero click, because he's like this giant hulking like guy, but he also has mind control powers. Like, what just like when they were going for superpowers, you went back in line again and just said, no, I want another one. Good
Yeah,
heavens.
I need big muscles to go with my monstrous intelligence.
Next up,
we were really judging him unfairly just by looks.
We just unlike this fellow who looks like the devil and is Mephisto by Ron Friends.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, of course, I think of him as a Spider-Man villain because that's when I was introduced to him, but that's where I'm introduced to most of the characters I've seen. But of course, I mean, he did play a role in Spider-Man's life later on in the 2000s. But I saw him also later on, like dealing with, I want to say Thanos in Infinity War. Yeah. He's essentially at that point been cucked by Thanos, and he's under his control. I'm trying to think of what other times that I remember seeing him.
There's that wonderful, isn't there a Mike Mignola graphic novel with Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom?
Mm-hmm.
Doom Triumphant, or
isn't it Triumphant Tragedy or something?
Triumphant,
like that?
Yeah. Well,
yeah, I haven't seen it in years. And I never bought it, but now I kind of want to see if I can find it or something.
That's inked by P. Craig Russell too, right?
Oh my God, is it?
I think so.
It's Triumphant Torment. It's been in and out of print because that's something that regularly when people ask about good Doctor Doom stories, that's definitely one I point them towards. Yeah. Also, when people want a good Doctor Strange story, again, I point them towards that. But it has been in and out of print, kind of back and forth. Like there's a time where we had it, and then we had the previous version, and they reissued it, and it's gone back and forth a bit. I'm not curious if it's because of paying Mike for it, and they just. I don't know if there's something there because there's other trades that stay in print constantly where this one drops in and out.
Weird. That's a trip.
Yeah, you should have a Mignola that goes out of print like that too. Marvel's got all these like secret little evergreen books that they could have if they just positioned them the right way,
Honestly, man, that was my first Doctor Doom story I ever read that he wasn't fighting the Fantastic Four in. And, at the time, I read it when I was a lot younger, and I didn't really know much about Doctor Strange either. And that book really got me into both of them.
Welcome wants to mention that this Mephisto is sassy. He does have a rather jaunty stance.
He really does.
Yeah.
Patrick.
Tony, am I the only one noticing that, like, there's a tangent happening with his loincloth that comes down from below the abs that makes it look like he has another big belly and the little tiny legs?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I'm noticing how small the loincloth is. Like, that is like a real banana hammock, like a 90s bikini bottom style.
Yeah, that's not saying things for him. I mean,
yeah.
Man. They're also commenting that the stats are through the roof except for his fighting ability. It's like, yeah, he can do a whole lot, but he just can't fight, which then kind of begs the question. Like, how good are you? I don't know.
I mean, the Mephisto doesn't need to fight anyone. He's,
True. He just tricks him into doing whatever he pleases.
Yeah. I would say, generally, isn't he just sitting in a chair way back like or Buscema would draw those guys?
Yeah.
Yep.
Or sometimes he's like a vacuum cleaner in the Daredevil John Romita Jr. stuff, where he's like a whole different, like, alien-looking monster.
Yeah, I remember that. What was up with that?
I love those ones. That's my favorite Mephisto. It's when he's in, like, the Ann Nocenti JR Daredevil comics. I got a page from that.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Man.
It's inked by Al.
Cream's asking who needs to secretly plan things when your speed, strength, and energy projection are all 7 and he still loses. Yeah, I mean, considering he tries to fight Thanos, yeah, you're gonna lose.
You can never catch him to fight him.
Yeah, fair enough.
So he's as fast as Quicksilver.
Faster, even. I think Quicksilver was just like a 6.
Good Lord.
I think because we commented, like, why isn't he a 7?
Yeah, who would be if not him?
Well, doesn't Mephisto have his own realm also?
Yeah.
I mean, if you got your realm, you're doing good.
Yeah. Next up, somebody mentioned earlier, Awesome Andy. Well, of course, you have Awesome Andy's creator, the Mad Thinker, and with a little pistol because he's going to shoot you too. And he
What?
has rosacea because his nose is red. I don't know. Like,
Hey, what's going on with that pimple on his nose?
He's a drunk. He's got too much gin.
yeah.
Who did that?
Oh, this is by Paul Ryan. Sorry.
Oh, okay. The signature's down there. It's tiny.
That's
It's a-
Mounts is the signature.
Oh, that's the mounts. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, Mad Thinker, he's an FF villain. He made Awesome Andy or Awesome Android. Later on, who the character would be a She-Hulk character. I don't know too much about Mad Thinker. I know almost more about the Red Ghost, who made all the orangutans and chimpanzees and stuff.
Yeah.
And who was very much like, they were very much a similar character of like, I'm a genius and I make my own little minions. And that's about it.
Yeah, he's a mad scientist. He always looked like a caveman to me. And I don't know if that is part of his deal. You think they would mention it here if that was, in fact, part of his deal.
Here he looks like Mr. Hyde
Yeah.
with like a hammerhead shark behind him.
Yeah.
I do like that red nose is trying to tell a story that he has a drinking problem.
Marcus thinks that he's just cold, like just that he has the AC turned up really high, and that's what he likes. Like that's
Yeah, that makes sense.
His awesome androids will melt if it gets too hot inside his laboratory, so he's just in the cold all the time.
yeah. Well, I mean,
I think-
For the background.
He's sort of abusive to those androids too, so it tracks that he has like he's got darkness in him.
I mean, are the androids that often are awesome if they're all just wearing loincloths? I mean,
That's
can't
what
they-
well, it's all about marketing. Like it's like he wants you to think they're awesome. I mean, Awesome Android is awesome, but it's making sure you know that that's part of his selling point. Like if you're going to buy one, you need to know how good they are. They're awesome. Let's see. It's like, yeah, got to keep cold for all the computers there. That's fair enough. Kareem is again curious why his energy projection is not a 2 with that gun based on the magnetomagnetism mathematics. Yep. Fair enough. He definitely has some energy projection there or something. And
how
again,
about the fact that
go
his intelligence is at a 5. This guy's not much of a mad thinker.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing where these stats are like once you hit a certain barrier, it's like, okay, this is just almost an infinite number once you get to 7. But there's other characters who are so much like, oh, well, they're a 3. It's like, you're that smart, but all right, I don't know.
Yeah, 5 it seems pretty smart for Marvel Universe, but yeah, he's not like Doctor Doom smart.
Yeah.
That's 6. By the way, Doctor Strange, Doctor Doom, Triumph and Torment was inked and colored by Mark Badger, not P. Craig Russell. That's my bad.
Wow.
Sorry to P. Craig Russell. I'm sorry to all the viewers.
Welcome wants to clarify that the loincloth does imply that the android has junk, and that's fair. I mean, if you're going to make an android, why not make it semi-anatomically correct, except for his head? So, sure, why not?
I mean, based on his head, I feel like I can imagine exactly what it looks like. Just sort of, like, the head looks like you're sculpting something, and then you get the head, and you're just like, whatever.
Yeah, it's like he started from the ground up. He's like, I'll finish the head tomorrow. It still works. It's fine. Just get it on the conveyor belt. Let's get it out of here.
I mean, maybe the putty he was using,
Or now, sculpt a whole head.
well, he was just using the putty, and then like it just ran out of time in the day, and it dried that way before he could finish the head.
That's
Or
when
he-
he hot in there.
Yeah, or he had the puppet master, and he was paying him. He's like, just go home. I can't look at you anymore. Please, just go home. I'll take care of the rest myself.
Anyone could do this.
And here we go from Mad Thinker over to Carnage by Ron Lim. This one is kind of interesting to me because I remember getting this card and I was like, these colors are so off. Like this doesn't fit at all. Like because there's far more black in there than the red. But then I came to realize later on this card series was for 1992. His first appearance was in 1992. It's very possible that when they colored it, they're like, what is it? What color is he? Black and red. Just do it. Do you have a guide for me to go off of? No, it's just he's black and red, kind of enemy. Go ahead, Ron, Paul, get to work. And just there you go. It still looks good. It's still like the line works solid, and it's not that the colors are bad. It's just they're not on model, and so it just throws me off a little bit.
Well, I think if there wasn't the blue highlights or whatever that grayish blue highlights in it, it would look a lot more on model. I think that black is more just like spot blacks, or to sort of like tie it in with the Venom connection. You know, like it sort of looks like both of them here.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if it was just all red instead of having blue in the mix, I feel like it'd look a little more carnagey.
Yeah, it's definitely like kind of like their offset colors, the lighting colors. Like, oh yeah, it reminds me of if you watch the Spider-Man cartoon series when they did Venom, he always had blue highlights and then on one side and then pink on the other. And it gave a very distinct look to it that you're kind of like, why is he black with a little bit of blue and pink? Like this doesn't, but it was just a lighting idea that they tried to inform that visual, and it never quite landed correctly. That's kind of the same thing here, I guess, what you're saying.
Weird thing in those 90s Marvel cartoons, whenever they would try and do like comic book techniques, like they would try and spot blacks or do like that double lighting. The X-Men, they would try and spot blacks all the time.
Yeah.
The X-Men always looked horrible.
Yeah, I know. It's there again. Back to the toy talk. There is a new Carnage figure coming out, and he looks great because they molded it, all his little details and stuff. It's from the next wave. I'm looking to pick that up. It looks pretty awesome.
Nice.
Interesting. Have they put out images for that yet? I haven't seen it.
Yeah, they put out images for the whole wave. It's got like a Venomized Miles, Venomized Gwen, a movie Venom, and new Carnage. Yeah,
I did see that. You're right. Those are nice.
Cream's asking, I thought he would be faster. Yeah, I mean he's faster enough to take Spider-Man sometimes, even not even taking into account the spider sense thing, and he's just crawling along at a 2. It looks like it's a little surprising. His fighting abilities, he's not even that well trained. He's just manic, and he's got these powers to offset that manic nature. I'm surprised by him having a 4 for fighting ability.
His quote is very terrible. I mean, it's just like they didn't even try. I mean, I guess at this point he'd probably only said it was the same year he came out, so they just didn't have a lot to choose from.
Yeah, at this point there was probably 3 issues in the can, because he only had like in 92 he only had, I want to say, probably 3 issues. This is before Maximum Carnage, so he shows up for 3, gets taken down in the 3rd, spoilers, and then just goes into the vault, and that's it. Like he's kind of over quick. It's actually, oddly enough, the Carnage series was the very first comics I bought at Comic Students and Toys in Tustin as a kid. Like, wow. As I'd walk in and saw that comic on the wall, I'm like, okay, I liked Venom, I liked Spider-Man, and I'm like, okay, who's this other red guy? And I picked it up off the wall, and that was my first introduction to Comic Students and Toys and buying comics in a shop. Before that, it was always like 7-Elevens and like gas stations, Toys R Us on their comic rack and their bundle packs.
Do you remember how much it was off the wall?
I want to say off the wall it was probably $1.99, maybe.
Wonderful.
It was, yeah. And this is like, and the first appearance of Carnage, I have it, and I have like all those, like, just because I just wandered into a shop and picked them up off the wall. It's kind of cool.
Man, now I got a backstep for just a minute, talking about 7-Elevens and such. My first comic I ever got at a 7-Eleven when I was a kid was, and this is unbelievable to me, was a Kevin Nolan issue of Moon Knight.
Khonshu.
Huh?
Khonshu.
No, Khonshu. And oh wait, I think Khonshu wasn't it actually. Never mind. But it was like a mutant ballerina with wind powers that would go into dance studios and wind people to death. Really something, man.
I love comics.
Oh, I tell you what, man. And it's funny, man, because maybe that's why I love Moon Knight so much. Is I got like a special thing for him, because I would always, like, one of the few comics I could ever find at that 7-Eleven were often Moon Knight. So like the Moon Knights that I had when a kid all came from that same 7-Eleven by my grandma's house.
Nice.
I remember getting X-Forces from 7-Eleven a lot.
Dude, yeah. Tony, did you ever see any of your comics in a 7-Eleven?
Any of my comics? Like,
yeah.
No, they weren't selling comics in 7-Eleven by the time I got in.
Man, that was for me, like, it only happened once, because I think I stopped seeing them very much. Every once in a while, you'll still see them at, like, rando 7-Elevens, but
maybe your Wonder Woman?
No, they had my my very first gig on the Dark Horse Star Wars X-wing Rogue Squadron stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was on a spinner
So-
rack.
Ooh, that's great.
Yeah,
We had to switch gears. I
Oh,
just did a podcast with some friends about the Rogue Squadron comics for like how
Really?
that was the first introduction to like the Rogue Squadron, and like that was our entire like a good majority of that podcast just talking about how like the dynamic cover was of like the X-wing flying up towards the camera essentially, and just like 4 ATSTs firing at him from behind, and like it has an awesome comic cover, very striking. I mentioned that my my first comics were at a 7-Eleven. My very first comic was a Police Academy comic from 7-Eleven.
What?
The animated series, yes.
Oh man, I didn't even know there was such a thing.
Oh
I
yeah.
would get by those things all the time. Like Alf, I would definitely pick up anything where I had some prior knowledge of it. I would get it. I remember specifically, I got the Archie Adventures of Bayou Billy comic from that
What?
little game. It was like a summer of Bayou Billy. I remember specifically, I was at like my cousin's place, and they advertised it in all the other comics. And the deal with that game was that you could play it with the controller and the power pad and the zapper. So like,
Oh wow.
it was the only Nintendo game where you use like all the stuff for the Nintendo, and I was so psyched about it. And then they put out a Archie comic to go with it when the game was coming out, and I got that before the game, and I was like, all right, I am so ready for this thing, and it was horrible. Like I know I read like 2 because there was Double Dragon comic at the time too. I read at least 2 issues of Bayou Billy, I feel like, and I was just hyped. I was sitting there primed and ready for this thing, and it was the worst game. It's like E.T. for Atari level bad.
Oh god, that's a drag.
Cherry Blossom Killer wants to mention that it was also advertised in the J.C. Penney's Christmas books.
Yeah,
I do remember that.
Wow.
It was like the next It was like, you know all this junk you have for your Nintendo that you only use for some games? This one's going to use all of it. Put it all together.
Man.
All right. Moving forward, we come to Hobgoblin.
Ooh.
Hey.
And it's interesting because it's like we had Hobgoblin and Green Goblin in the same batch for us, so you kind of see the same character, but like how do 2 different artists portray that? How do they bring it to you? But it's like also these characters are very similar, so you get some of the same notes. It is interesting too, though, to note is that during this time period is when the host of the person who was Hobgoblin made a pact with I believe Mephisto or a demon to be the host for his, and he became half demonic, and he had like a really like grotesque looking face as you can see in that inset. This Critter Paladin wants to say that this is Demo Goblin. That is not true because he would eventually become Demo Goblin when he was blue and they expelled the demon from him. At this time, he's still considered Hobgoblin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, magical, but he's flying around a mechanical goblin glider.
Yeah. Yeah, and so this is just a weird little time period where it's like they're like, okay, what do we do with Hobgoblin? How do we make him different? And so they did this little demon pact, and they set it up, and eventually, of course, they pushed it out, and that went into the next story for Maximum Carnage, which can be covered in the next set. But yeah, this is definitely a kind of interesting time. There's also a What If. One of my first What Ifs that I bought was a what if Spider-Man kept his cosmic powers, and they had the Demo Goblin Hobgoblin in that version.
Can we go back and forth between this one and the Green Goblin? I want to see which one I like better. I feel like this one might be more dynamic.
We've got Green Goblin.
All right. Better 1, better 2.
Better 2.
What do you think, Drew?
The first Green Goblin one it has a better silhouette.
Yeah, and the head's better too.
Yeah.
But I like that angle on the Hobgoblin a lot as well. Like I feel like the angle is a little more energetic, but yeah, the silhouette's much better on the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
He's got that cape and hood to contend with too.
Yeah, this one, the Hobgoblin one, is a lot busier.
Yeah.
I feel like you can read the Green Goblin one a lot easier.
I like the colors better on this one.
Yeah.
The rim lighting from the flaming pumpkins is pretty great.
Oh, that's true. It's really nice.
We got someone saying that they like the Hobgoblin more. I think definitely the colors do help it pop a lot more. Also, you got 2 more pumpkin bombs, so you get a little more emphasis on those, and they do kind of jump out at you. But to the colors too, you do have like the Hobgoblin. I'm sorry, the Green Goblin pops more off of the background. Like he stands out where you definitely see this a little more blending with the colors in the background, the purple. And also you kind of see like, oh, there's a cityscape back there. In the last card, we were like, oh, well, what is that? Is that the card? It drew our eye there a lot more. It had a lot more. It had more negative space was there, but it gave you, I don't know, it just had a different feel.
I like the way that Run Friends drew the glider more, but I like the way Alex Saviak handled the smoke. Had much better handling of the smoke here. This guy's crotch.
I've got 2 votes in the chat for Hobgoblin. I've got both Patrick and Welcome. Yeah, they're we have our own. Oh wait. He's saying I like and Marcus is saying I like classic Hobgoblin more, but his debut was one of my first comics I owned. That's fair enough. You're definitely going to have a bit of a bias. I appreciate it.
Good hand. That's a great hand in the foreground like that.
Yeah, I could definitely give it to this one in terms of being more dynamic, a little more exciting. It's giving your eye more to do than the Salbusema piece. The Salbusema piece just, it's processed very easily in your vision very quickly. Yeah. It's not, you know what it is immediately. You don't think about it too long. And this guy, you spend more time looking at, and, the color and the design are giving you a little bit more to consider.
Yeah.
I got to ask, Welcome, are you not a fan of the portrait because it's off-putting, which is kind of the point. Like that's a more of a plus to it than a minus to some degree. If it's off-putting, like that's what their intent was. So it's like, I got to give them points for that as opposed to taking away. Because I think it's a pretty good portrait considering like he looks like a demon. He looks possessed. That's what they're going for.
Lizardy here too though. And I never pictured him as being lizardy, like demony. Yes, but this sort of does look a little lizardy.
That's fair. Yeah.
I was just trying to look at it with my eyes squinty just to make his eyeballs at least disappear because he's so lizardy with those slit eyeballs.
Yeah.
And if you can kind of squint your eyes and not see those, he starts to look a little bit more demony, but he's still quite lizardy.
Yeah. Cream's asking why is his hood, boots, gloves shredded, but not the under unitard underneath. Because he was trying to differentiate himself visually from the Green Goblin, and that's honestly, I think, the best reasoning I can give you is because Green Goblin has very cuffed boots, cuffed gloves, and his pointy hat. Whereas when we were looking at the Hobgoblin, it is far more of a tattered version, and he just left the tunic alone. He's like, no, I've got this. I don't need to worry about the tunic. Plus, the tunic does lend a certain amount of protection because he does have, like, I want to say, protection under that suit.
I'm looking up my Hobgoblins, and I think this version did have pupils, but a lot like the classic Hobgoblin when they were drawn was like much more effective when he had no pupils. He just had those red balls.
Yeah.
Let's see. Patrick is saying that Green Goblin looks like a Bizarro Link. Fair enough. But then we had Shadow Link, so my brain doesn't quite turn that way. Let's see. It's like, yeah, Welcome says, yeah, I think you nailed it with the lizard comparison. I think the Green Goblin portrait's a lot more. Or yeah, that's fair. It is far more lizardy. You guys definitely got me there. So I agree. Next up, we have a card that I was actually trying to find the name of, and we got the name of it. It is Richard Case drawing Gideon here. Wow. And that's actually thanks to Drew. Drew, once again on the podcast, clarifies for us, gives us the inside scoop on who this artist is for Gideon.
Would you have pegged that, Tony?
Never in a million years would I have guessed it. No.
Seriously?
No.
I actually, you weren't as much a Morrison reader as Dennis and Burnham, were you?
No, from the signature?
Yeah. Well, two things. I figured out the signature because Ken had just posted it with just the full figure. But once I saw the portrait, it is like one of the exact kind of faces Richard Case always used to draw.
Yeah. That I can see.
Yeah, but I figured it out from the signature because if you close in on the signature, It's the R comes down, the stem of the R comes down, and then he drew that cross through, which creates the 9, and then he dropped in the 2 inside the triangle space. But the other part of the cross creates a C with the stem of the R. And I also remember really well, I was telling Ken earlier that Richard Case used to like to mess with visual tricks with letters. And he had actually come up with like a Doom Patrol symbol that was like a combined D and P kind of thing. But if you looked at it, you could actually find all the letters of Doom Patrol in it.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever saw something like that. And then I remember when Toyota released their, now current symbol with the circles that looks like a T. But if you look at that whole thing, you can find all of the letters of Toyota in it.
Or like on HBO's The Vow, these ladies got a brand that was supposed to be like mountains and water and air and stuff, but it actually is this weird cult leader Keith Raniere's initials. Like he branded
really?
with his initials. Yeah.
Oh man, I haven't seen that yet.
Similar to the Richard Case signature. Maybe he was in Nexium.
Yeah, that was my big guess of the day.
Yeah, way to go.
No, I like it. I appreciate it.
I wish you would have Richard Case right here on the show like you did with Carl.
Just texted him like, "Hey, Richard, is this you?"
Yeah.
I felt really boss getting Carl.
Yeah.
We've got Patrick saying effing externals, like not a fan of the group affiliation of the Prophets. Kareem's mentioning the weak energy projection. Yeah, he's just a 1. He's got no energy projection, yet somehow both his hands are lit up. Both his hands are lit up. 1 for energy projection.
It's probably very strong energy. Maybe they're just like flashlights.
Like one, yeah. He's got like a pocket warmer in one hand. That's why it's all orange and glowy. And the other one's a flashlight. Let's see. Not all evil businessmen need to wear white suits. It's true. That's very true.
Yeah, imagine you were in business with this guy. You show up. First of all, like that bald head, ponytail, like, poof. I mean, it's a lot. And then he's just got that crazy V-neck and his shoulders out like this. I mean, what? Yeah. I mean, I don't have meetings in person these days because of COVID, but if I showed up in a meeting and this dude was there, I would be very, it would just be very off-putting. You know, he would have to really be a great businessman to keep me engaged. Or maybe it's like it's like some pickup artist shit, you know, like where he just wants to give you something to look at, you know, and then he starts pulling game on you.
And you just can't see past. You're just mesmerized. Like, good God, I don't even know what he's saying, but this is transfixing.
He's got his shoulders out. What kind of business is this?
He's got green hair coming out of an ornate gold cuff sticks to his head. I mean, there's a lot to take in there. I remember there was a Liefeld splash page of him, I think, when he first appeared, where I think that was supposed to be a business vest with he was supposed to be wearing like slacks.
Yeah.
He was wearing a vest without a shirt.
It's interesting.
Coat. I could maybe allow this vest without a shirt thing, maybe for that time. But also, like Raider, like imagine he's the guy that buys your business and then like, you know, leaves you penniless. You know, like or puts all your workers out of work. You know, like he's the guy that bought Toys R Us. What an asshole.
See, now you got me thinking like, what if he's on an episode of Undercover Box where it's like he's like, by the way, guys, I didn't really want to tell you about this, but actually he takes off his smock and underneath is just this vest and these skin tight underpants. He's like, I'm actually the president of Externals, and our company Profits has been doing a lot of things, and I wanted to hear what you guys had to say. You're just like, oh my, what is going on?
This young kid shows up to work register, but he's like 40 and he has a very long green ponytail on the top of his head.
Marcus is clarifying that in the chat that his powers is power duplication. So the energy that he has once he's duplicated off of other people.
Oh,
which,
dig it.
if we would have read the card, we probably would have been better off, but here we are. But we appreciate your input, Marcus. It helps us get a better understanding of what's going on in these cards because we can't read all 122 of them, so we appreciate it.
Well, plus it's hard to take like a moment away from, talking about it and participating in the conversation when I want to go in and read these things.
Yeah.
You got to get close to the screen and pay attention to it, and then I'm missing all the fun stuff you guys are talking about.
I say, Rad Newt's mentioning the glowing hands are for the business meeting razzle dazzle.
Yeah. It really catch people off guard in negotiations when your hands are glowing like that. 2 different glows.
Exactly. Let's say, hope he can mimic the powers of its abilities to keep the conference room technologies from going to shit. Oh, IT's abilities.
IT, yeah.
Oh, heaven. I'm sorry, folks. All right. Next up, we've got a far more classic villain, the White Queen by Mike Harris, which, I mean, this one's great. Like, I love the floral background. Like, it fits for her, the character. Like, some of them we've talked, like the Carnage one is just like speed line. Like, that's all that it is there, which given Ron did 5 cards in this set, he was busy. This one's, he took a bit of time to put something more in the background. I appreciate it.
Yeah, he's got oh God, I'm tired. What's the art?
Business in the background? Is that what you're saying?
A what background?
Like Muka business? Like
Muka. Thank you. Yeah, I totally Muka'd up that background. It's real nice.
I like the pose. I feel like the blacks that he's doing on the cape and on the figure are a little bit heavy for this character and this pose. But also it looks a little bit deadline-y. Like he was just like, let's just get this guy done. The face, I feel like, could have used a little more. It could have used a little more less. Like spent a little more time on the underdrawing, and then be able to pull it off with a few less lines. I think you would have had a more effective thing.
Yeah, because
Mike.
Amuka's style doesn't use that kind of heavy darkness in it anyway.
Marcus is saying it's an Art Nouveau style, and I can kind of see that as well.
Yeah, that's totally Muka style. Yeah.
To Welcome's comment for the previous card, reading is hard. We're here for the ponytails and glowing fist, which we appreciate. Welcome, we appreciate it. Thank you. Patrick's mentioning she too has a gin nose. You know what? That's fair enough. She's got a lot of time kicking back at the Hellfire Club. What else is she going to do sometimes?
Always at cocktail parties and stuff.
Yep. Patrick saying that the black makes the body and legs pop. I can see that.
True.
Yeah, but color could have done that too, though.
Yeah.
Mounts was going to do his thing.
Yeah.
As I always say, this is better than all the trading cards I've made. So I bow to Mike.
Not true. Drew's done a better one than this.
True enough. But I'm just saying, I'm speaking for myself personally, so Mike doesn't come after me. He's like, really? I heard about your comic card show. I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Mike Harris.
Mike Harris. Next up, we got Jeff Johnson doing Omega Red, which this one's great. Like I dig it. Like you've got a fierce face for the inset one, and like just you see his carbonium coils into the snow and stuff, and you've got Russia. I'm trying to think of the name of the tops of those buildings, but it's there, and it's exactly what I would expect.
Oh, sorry, the Kremlin. Was that the Kremlin stuff? No. Shit, now I can't remember what that's called.
Yeah. Being on camera drains your brain sometimes. You're just like, I have to say something? Dang it.
Get Jeff Johnson for your Marvel Card Deep Dive show. Because he's on that Drink and Draw Social Club show with Joe Quesada and Dan Panosian.
Oh, nice.
He's always on there. Like I feel like you can get in touch.
I will definitely try and reach out because I do have, as is often the case. Actually, let me take this off because it's a little bit covering stuff up. You can check him out at Johnsonverse for Instagram. So definitely check him out there. See his other stuff. But yeah, like I mean, they did a Mega Red Marvel Legends that looks just like this. It's great. It's exactly what you need. There's been very little updates to Mega Red over the years, and it's kind of like they kind of just nail them on the first take. Like there's been little updates here and there, but for the most part, what you got from the start was what you needed to have.
He's back right now in X-Force, like the last week.
Oh,
Okay.
really?
Yeah, they're doing a lot of Russia stuff in X-Force.
Nice. Brad Newt gave us the name. They're called onion domes. So thank you. That is the architectural term for those. They're onion domes. I have no idea. I'm just making this up, guys. Fighting ability is a 7, and that's like the only. Actually, his energy projection and mental powers is a 3. What mental powers is it? All right, you know what? Again, I don't know who wrote these, but mental powers are 3. That's surprising. Fighting abilities, I'll give him that, but it's still a 7. That's higher than Wolverine's, I think.
Man, oh man! Yeah. I mean, he was hot shit right then.
I was
Yeah.
say that's like godlike in his by statistical standards.
Yeah, this is. I mean, is it because he's new hotness and that's why he's so up there? But I'm sorry, my brain is telling me to go back in time and find out what Wolverine's stats were because this is something I need to know right now.
Sure. Well, I think he definitely was new hotness, and like especially around that time, like he's sort of like Jim Lee's lasting stamp that he put on the X-Men. I mean, he did a bunch of stuff, but like as far as like new characters, like Omega Red was a big one for him.
Yeah.
Nope, Wolverine's a 7.
Okay, Wolverine's a 7. We're good then. We can. Man, I was surprised. As having a 7 and he just got created. I guess that's part of his allure.
Are they exactly the same? Go back.
I don't know.
Sorry, it just takes a second because there are a lot of cards to go through. Here we
Dead
go.
air. It's very important. They're pretty close. I feel like Omega Red has more mental powers. Is that right?
Yeah, Omega Red, because Omega Red has 3 for some reason. I don't know how he got to that, but he's not as strong as Wolverine, which I also think is a little bit off because Wolverine should be stronger than Wolverine, I would imagine. With his he also is not trying to lug around an adamantium skeleton, so there's that. So I don't know. Let's see. Jim Lee had the Psylocke design too. That's true. Marcus says, yeah, that is definitely key. I mean, pretty much everyone. If you're again, we always go to Toy Talk, but the Marvel Legends that are all based off of the Jim Lee style, those are all the most expensive figures out there right now. Those, like, if you try and get the Jim Lee Cyclops or the Jim Lee Rogue, those are some of the most hard to find figures. And on the secondary market, they're charging far too much. It's just because those are what people want. Even like they just came out with a new X-Force Psylocke, and people would rather pay triple for the Jim Lee version.
I get it. I mean, I like that.
Yep. Did you see Ken? Did you see that Mafex is doing a Jim Lee Psylocke?
I did. That's actually the second version. It's the comic version. I saw that.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So back then, Wolverine had enhanced strength surgically because of the adamantium skeleton. That makes sense.
Looking at Paladin.
Yep. That's like saying he got mental powers for being able to spit at a target. Yeah, Wolverine can do whatever he pleases when it comes down to it.
He's the best there is.
Yep. Let's see. Wolverine is smarter. Omega Red is a Punisher level intelligence. Fair enough. Okay. All right. And then the last one for the night, the character, I mean, you got to save the best for last. Maelstrom.
Yeah.
By Greg Capullo. So like the art is there, but I mean, aside from like the 5 Quasar fans in the chat right now, I don't know who else is telling me who Maelstrom is because I'm at a loss.
Now, he is one of the greatest menaces in the history of creation, but this dude doesn't have any 7s.
It's one of the greatest.
Yeah.
Truly some terrible kerning on the word truly.
And I like that the chat's already like, well, he's more intelligent than the Punisher. It's like, it's true. It's true.
I love Greg Capullo. And this is a great looking Greg Capullo drawing. I love he's doing that How to Draw Comics the Marvel way thing where he's weird shaped, he basically a regular guy and just stretched them all out everywhere everywhere where you'd normally be compact, he made him stretchy. I love his face, I love his, he's got those scars and lumps and stuff. His teeth are great. I don't know who the inker is on this.
That's what I was just wondering.
Yeah, because they have that second image that like just below the Greg Capullo box. There's another one there. It looks like an Omega symbol on the side. I don't know who it is. I mean, it does say mounts in one of the energy balloons. It says mounts, so Paul did the color for this as well. But I don't know.
Let me see. Quasar.
I will also throw this up on the screen too, just so you can kind of see the other, because we talked earlier how they had counterparts done by the same artist. Jumping back for Tony, because I don't know if you saw the Quasar by Greg Capullo. Oh, actually, it's the same inker. It's still you can't see my pointer, but there is a little box there below the Greg Capullo. So the same inker did this Quasar and the Maelstrom. So
Quasar was Williams sometimes.
I'm sorry, what was that?
You're looking for the signature?
Oh yeah,
It's on the buildings, just on the side. You can see like the GC that he still does, and then also there's that little Omega symbol on the building. So yeah.
That's the same guy that inked like the Demi Moore Quasar cover. Looks like he inked most of this Quasar stuff. I wonder who that is. Must be Keith Williams.
I like that his real name is Maelstrom. Like, so someone's like, when he was born, it's like, let's name him David. No. Maelstrom. I like Maelstrom. Like, don't you think that's going to give him a complex? No. You know, the Davidson's boys, they love their son Maelstrom, so why wouldn't we?
Name the dog Maelstrom.
No.
it's the new Jaden.
Yeah. Yeah. Quasar had a 1 intelligence. Rad Newt was noting. Yeah, they gave away stats very sparingly sometimes. They're like, no, you just get a 1.
Man.
Yeah. That's energy projection once again.
Yep. Up there in the 6s.
Goddamn right. What do you think? Is the pink stuff also energy projection?
I would imagine, like, because it seems like he's bending it to his will.
Yeah.
Critter Paladin wants to know, what's your name? Maverick. Did your parents not like you?
Yeah.
Man, I was just thinking I should have named Quinn Maelstrom.
There you go. See,
it's more of a Maelstrom. Like the splattery inky star background, I'm not 100% on.
That's a lot of stars.
Yeah.
It would have been a lot of work to do that too, like masking out the Maelstrom and then splattering all that shit down there and then pulling the mask off. Or perhaps they just like it was back in the 90s, so they would have had to like X-Acto him out and paste him over a background like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, that is the last card for the night. Gentlemen, did you have anything that stood out for you amongst the 25 cards we ran through today? I'm going to go through them in a little bit of a quick succession, but I mean, and also let me know, anyone in chats, if you had a favorite from tonight's. We had some hits as far as Abomination, Zodiac. I'm just going to keep going. If you guys have anything that you loved, shout it out. I'll pause on it for a bit.
Now I feel like we could have done better with Black Tom and Juggernaut. Once we really caught our flow.
Yeah.
Like really getting some good criticism going, but we really let those guys go scot-free.
Well, that's
guy
too.
Huh?
That was from the last episode too. That was just catching the last of the team ups before we jumped into villains.
So we don't have to deal with him. Okay.
Yeah, that's not on us. We don't have to worry. I mean, that was on me last time. That's past Ken's problem. Future Ken is also going to deal with another bit, but current Ken sees that we've got a comment from Critter Paladin saying that Doom was pretty solid. That is a solid Doom.
Yeah.
That is exactly what I want from Doom. It's exactly what I do. Like some of the modern takes where his armor looks a little less robotic, looks a little bit more suit of armor, and almost more of a refined armor. Like it's almost artisan, and I like that feel to it. But this is great.
If we're gonna pick nits, I don't like how that roof pokes him in the glove there. I feel like that could have been avoided.
Oh yeah.
But
stuck there.
Who am I to tell Paul Ryan and Terry Austin what to do?
There you go. Cream Anderson says the Rose is a favorite. Fair enough. I like the Rose. I was saying that I want an action figure of him, so I'm on board.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jumping back, I think we just had a call for Puppet Master from Welcome. And I think he just wanted he's like, it's a horrifying portrait and the ridiculous of the Rose. That's fair. I like it.
Yeah, it is very gross. I think
So, yeah.
the Rose is my favorite Alex Saviuk of the night for sure.
All right.
I think
The
that's
sleep
Oh, what?
Diablo sleeper hit. Like, I didn't
Yeah.
expect.
That was my favorite villain pose of the night. Like that's a really good villain drawing.
So shout out Alan Pasalacqua who pronounces it Diablo.
Does he really?
Yeah, he was playing that game. He was like, I was playing Diablo 3.
There's a friend of mine has a podcast called In Quest of Geek. If you guys want to check it out, after you checked out the carbon scoring episode of We Were Gamers, but they go into discussion about one of the podcasters on the show pronounces like an heir, like you're like heir to the empire with an H. He pronounces the H, and so he's like, oh yeah, they're the hairs. I'm like, what now? And he's like, oh yeah, like a heirloom. I'm like, no. But that's been a discussion for another day. Definitely check out In Quest of Geek if you'd like, after you've checked out the carbon scoring episode of We Were Gamers to talk about the Rogue Squadron comics. Let's see. Venom is so dynamic. I agree. I gotta love that. Gotta love that classic. That jawline is just perfect.
That might be the best card. I don't know if it's my favorite of this episode, but it might be empirically the best card.
In terms of its dynamism and like accomplishing what that card wants to accomplish, it's got everything. I mean, the portrait is utterly horrifying.
Yeah, it's iconic. It could be a T-shirt. It could be like a sticker.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so we got through another 25 cards. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another 25 cards. From that era, we'll be jumping into some of the rest of the villains, and then we go into rookies. So be ready for some villains like Thanos, some rookies like Bishop, and a whole host of other characters and cards that we'll have ready for you on the cast. I don't have a cast list yet, so we're still working on that. Hopefully, we'll have some favorites back and some new faces for everyone to see. Of course, we're gonna have a Necrom card because we're gonna just have to come back to that one. We need Necrom.
The best card back of the night for sure for me.
When I start doing merch, there will be a Necrom shirt, so just be ready for that in the run.
It's my homeboy.
So yes, for everyone, for myself, you can find me at Ken Rolow. You can find the podcast and the live stream here at Comic Banter. Drew, is there anywhere? Where should people find you?
Oh, I am Drew Edward Johnson pretty much everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I'm super easy to find. I had a fancy name once, and I realized nobody had any idea who I was, and I just got rid of it. Put my name in. I'm easy to find forever after.
All right, and Tony, is there anything they should find you at? And I know you mentioned Stray Dogs earlier.
Yeah, I mean, you can buy my comics right now. My Little Pony Transformers is in the middle of coming out. Issue 3 comes out next, and it's a 4-issue series. And then after that, I'm doing a Rick and Morty miniseries, and then I'm back to some more My Little Pony later on this year. And then early next year, probably around February, Stray Dogs from Image. And then Time Shopper should be coming out soon, too. There'll be more news on that. So lots of stuff. You can follow me at Tony Fleece, like it's spelled there on the screen, or TonyFleece.com if you feel like buying original art, which would be great if you felt like doing that, because, I got a bunch of it. I don't need it anymore. I already turned it in.
I will also mention, too, that back when I first met Tony was years ago, and he also does these amazing pulp covers of classic things. He did like Legends of Zelda as a pulp cover. He's done comic characters. I know I have a Batgirl one. There's just a lot of those that are his jam. And when I first met him, so just definitely check that out. I'm a little ashamed that no one, including Alex Chung, name checked what card frame Tony had, and really it's going to haunt me for at least another 2 weeks, guys.
Listen, Alex just didn't want to take the win away from somebody else. I think he was being magnanimous because he texted me earlier in the week and was just like, "Yo," he knows.
I feel like Alex didn't chime in enough, man. I feel like we got like too little Alex on this one.
Listen, it's a very heavy night. I'm sure Alex is wrapped up in how the world's falling apart. So luckily, I got to hang out here for 2 hours and pay attention to Diablo and without having to be stuck in this nightmare that we're all in.
That's true. I did forget about it for a few minutes. So.
All right. I'm actually going to see, because we are on Twitch, so I'm going to try and see if we can raid another viewer, another Twitch streamer online. See if we can get a little bit of cohesive fun going on. Oh, nope, this is not working. I'm doing the wrong thing. Good heavens.
Are we raiding somewhere?
Yeah, I'm going to try and raid. There's looking at some of the friends I have online and some who have a similar type of show or a similar feel. And I'm looking like we're going to head over to Earl Balon. Earl is actually a voice actor. He's one of the voice actors on the Tomb Raider video games. He does a lot of different video games that he streams. And let me see. I'm really still pretty new at this myself. So even knowing how to raid has been an interesting thing, and I'm even trying to find my channel here.
Be on Earl Balon's stream. Is he cards with us?
He hasn't. He's just a friend of mine, and I don't actually see any other card or any comic book associated streams that I would want to give the raid to. So hopefully this will work.
Me and Drew are very old. We don't know about raids.
Yeah, I don't know anything about this stuff. I signed up for a Twitch account, but I really don't understand what that thing does.
I just came here to watch Jim Lee draw sometimes.
Yeah, that's like all I can think of to do with it. So, it's like still there, but I haven't put anything up.
Yeah.
I got to still get one of those camera setups so I can do video stuff.
Yeah, I think about that too.
All right. So it looks like we're going to try and we're taking over at least 10 viewers, over 12 viewers. So guys, stick around, check out Earl. He's a great streamer, a really good guy. And yeah, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. I hope you had a great time, and we will catch you again in 2 weeks.
Later on, guys. Thanks for having me, Ken. This is great.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Thanks, Ken. Good to see you, Tony.
Are we off?